My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Have any saloons down there?
Well, that I don't know.
Has that bum ever smoked a cigar?
I doubt it.
How many cases of beer a day does he drink?
I wouldn't even venture.
Does he do the polka?
Why do you want that beer so bad?
Because he's thirsty, dummy.
Oh, wait. You take it to him. No, you. No. You take it. I'm gonna let go. I'm letting go of the beer. You taking it?
No.
I'm letting go.
I'm letting go.
Okay, let go.
Okay, fine.
Dad, Bob broke your beer. No, I didn't. Doug broke it.
So I'm gonna start getting ready for him. I'm gonna start eating 6 pounds of Polish sausage today, increase my beer from a case to a case and a half, and I'm gonna eat a lot of mashed potatoes and gravy.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win!
All right, what do I win?
Another beer!
Barney, don't steal any beer while I'm gone.
What kind of pathetic drunk do you take me for? Somebody spilled beer in this ashtray.
Come on, let's go drink till we can't feel feelings anymore.
Honestly, it's called To Hell With My Liver.
Somebody give me a shot.
Hello, Hollywood. Hello, world. Hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you, and it's always good to be seen. Izzy Presley here on another Drunken Summit, on another effing podcast, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Burbank, smack dab in the southern part of the Hotel California. I've got a great group of miscreants lined up this week. Thank you to everybody who tuned in last week for the Van Halen one. 1,500 listens and downloads. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Let's keep this fucking trainer rolling. Of course, we all know the social media at Real Izzy Presley, all the way across the board, Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook. Show pages and other effing podcasts. And you can, I suppose I can turn that down a cunt here. There we go. Oh, that's gooder. That's gooder. Yeah, there's a shop now button at the top of the Facebook page for the show, which is another effing podcast. You can buy t-shirts, or I think donating would be better right now because I get every penny of the donations. Real Izzy Presley on the Venmo. izzypresley@yahoo.com is your PayPal, and CashApp is $ Izzy Presley. But we are here to talk about fucking Cheap Trick. And I've got with me from Life, Sex, and Death, from Antriproduct, from Enough's Enough, from Stars, from ACK, a tribute to Ace Frehley, the one and only Sir Alex Kane. Welcome back to another fucking podcast.
Thank you.
From the Tom Keifer Band and from the East Side Gamblers, Mr. Tony Higbee.
What's up?
How we doing?
I'm good. You were Phil.
And who has not been on this show in a long time, of course, from Rolling Stone magazine and Revolver magazine. I got it right, and he's a big star on the MLB network too. Saw his ugly mug on there during one of those MLB shows. I'm like, oh my god, I have to reach out to Epstein. I haven't talked to him forever. Dan Epstein, everybody.
What's up?
And my Ed McMahon on these Drunken Summits. He's been on every single one so far. Mr. Philip Shouse from the Ace Frehley Band, Gene Simmons, and Accept.
I'm going to be Nipsey Russell from Hollywood Squares.
Oh, that.
Man, Charles Nelson Riley. I don't know.
Dude, when you get one with Charles Nelson Riley, Nipsey Russell, and Betty White, you know you're in for a good show.
You're going to have 30 minutes of laughter.
I'm going to try to be Betty White.
That's hot. Well, Betty White now or Betty White when
I don't know. Not like that.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Either way, it's hot.
Yeah, she's hot. I mean, for being an octogenarian, I would absolutely tap that ass.
She's the best. Absolutely. Here.
Oh man. Gee, oh, that's right. You know, it is fucking Cinco de Mayo. I had my my tacos today. And because I'm high class, I'm into class. It's my new thing. I've got a bottle of this Bandolero white silver tequila for a whopping price of $6.99. Spared no expense.
Weather, like real Bandoleros.
Oh,
I think that should be our side project band name, Bandoleros.
Oh,
like
we all have
Bandoleros, and then we can you can be like Phil Laro. I can be Alex Laro. Dan Laro.
I suppose it's
brothers.
And we all have
brothers like the Ramones.
And we all have to wear masks now anyway, so fuck it, why not, right?
Done.
Absolutely. So the fucking Cheap Trick, that's the reason we're here this week.
Wait, we're not here to talk about politics? I'm out. Kidding.
Hold on, that's worth a Pat Fontaine laugh. I was a late bloomer to Cheap Trick. I was always obviously I was always aware of them. Never really got it until I saw them live in the mid-90s. And it was one of those, oh shit, they play that song?
Alex,
they play that song?
If you've seen them in the mid-90s, you still haven't seen Cheap Trick. You got to go back to the late 70s. And you don't roll your eyes at me, bitch. I fucking shit your head. You got me on this show for a reason. Don't undermine that.
But look. My thing was, it was like, I discovered them like I discovered King's X when I saw them live, and I'm like, they do that song. They do that song. They do that song.
What songs were your sort of initial gateways, like where you went, no, this one is them?
Oh God, I mean, obviously I knew The Flame, but they didn't play that for a long time.
I'm in Arizona. I got a gun. I'll be right back.
I love The fucking Flame. Dream Police, Surrender, all that shit. But God, I think it was Tonight It's You.
Okay.
And some shit like that. It's like, oh my God, this is them. And I was in love. And I was hooked.
To really get, I mean, I'm from Chicago, right? So me and Dan, we're both from Chicago. Now, I'm at the age where when I was 12, that's when when In Color came out, I was 12. So it was like the perfect, like I was just coming out of my Kiss phase and hadn't yet gotten into my Van Halen phase, right? And so it was that bridge right in the middle there, and like punk rock was first coming out, but nobody really knew what punk rock was. It was just kind of like, oh, they're not singing about their genitals, so I guess it's punk rock. But being the perfect, the what?
That's a good gauge of punk rock or not.
Yeah. Singing about social causes. This guy's singing about his dick. Okay, I guess these guys are punk rock. And he's dying, or dragons, which is another word for a dick. So I mean, it's just
right.
Same territory.
Rocket Ride's a social cause song, right?
It's
okay.
It's about space exploration, if I remember. Right? Yeah.
Benefits of space travel. Totally.
Just about space travel.
Penis at all. Not his penis.
The black hole of space.
Yeah.
But so there we were at the crossroads of dinosaur rock and punk rock, and all of a sudden I remember seeing ads in and Dan, you may remember this. I don't know if you guys are like close to my age or not, but Circus Magazine.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there was if you imagine, and I don't know if you guys saw the ad, but I know I did because it was the beginning of a change in my life. But if you looked at there was quarter-page ads running down the side of the right page of 4 consecutive pages in Circus Magazine, where they addressed the personality of what each of the players in the band were meant to represent, right? So Rick was, the crazy, wacky guy that didn't look like anybody. And here's the other thing about Cheap Trick. People look at Rick Nielsen and they go, oh, he's got a baseball cap and a bow tie. So obviously he's a clown. But he is so good at what he does that you actually have to be as good as he is to understand how much better than everybody else he is. So while maybe he doesn't do sweeps and maybe he doesn't sing about his genitals enough, on the other hand, I would disagree, but he's really, if you take Frank Zappa and Pete Townsend and you put them together, that's what Rick Nielsen is. But
That's
because he never
analogy, yeah.
But because he never sat around telling you how great he was or how important he was, aside from an electrifying an entire generation of guitar player and songwriter, right? Yeah. We got it. We got the message, but the public needs to be as good as Cheap Trick to understand, while you may be paying top dollar to see Bon Jovi, actually Cheap Trick takes precedence, because without them, you don't get to Bon Jovi. You know
Let
what
me
I mean?
ask you this. Do you guys think that Cheap Trick gets lumped in with bands like King's X as a musicians band?
Not particularly.
No.
No, I'm not talking technical wise. I'm just talking like musicians get it.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say that. I think musicians respect, I think more musicians have been influenced by them perhaps than just people out in the real world. You know what I mean? Because you can't, I mean, like I'm 54 now, and you can't find anybody in my age group that hadn't been touched by Cheap Trick. You know what I mean? So I do agree with.
I agree with that entirely.
Well, you look much younger than I do, so we're gonna have to talk once this is all over and find out what that. But I do agree with your statement given that context. But I don't think like the guys that do, like, none of us as guitar players are the sweepy kind of, you know, we play rock and roll guitar and we wear our guitars too low, and so you can't do sweeps. Thank God, because if I wanted to watch men masturbate, I'd get a porno.
All right, that was a great show, folks. I don't. We couldn't have explained it any better.
Here.
Tony, what about you? What was your introduction to the Great Trick?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm actually from Central Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from a little town called Monmouth that is probably about 45 minutes northwest of Peoria. So, not sure if either of you guys, Chicago guys, know where that's at, but
sure, yeah.
I was born and raised there, and I lived in Illinois till I was 25. I won't lie, man. I knew Cheap Trick passively, but you got to understand that, you know, Rockford was 3.5, 4 hours from me. So is Chicago. I mean, Illinois is one of those states that top to bottom is an 11-hour drive. It's a lot bigger than you think. So, I mean, of course, I knew the radio hits. I would love to say that I was cool and I knew all the deep cuts when I was a kid, but I didn't. So probably in the mid 90s, I started, I got to give credit where credit's due. I started jamming with a buddy of mine, Denny Smith, and I eventually moved to Nashville and played a band with called Bombshell Crush. And he lived in Peoria, and we were playing a band together, him and the other guitar player, this guy named Don Mavis. They were deep Cheap Trick fans. They started turning me on to stuff. And the first time they played me a Wiedersehen, I was done. I was like, okay, this is it. Yeah. Like I was just going out and just started, you know, first 3 records, I had to have them. First time I got to see Cheap Trick, they were doing a tour for the anniversary, or they just re-released those first 3 records, remastered like in a little box. 2000, and I had just moved to Atlanta. So I didn't see Cheap Trick till 2000. They played the 40 Watt Club in Athens, Georgia, doing primarily material off those first 3 records. They played for 2 hours. And the couple things I remember about that show, Tom Peterson had Jimmy Page's old Rickenbacker cabinets on stage, reloaded with bass speakers.
Wow.
Like tour, and that was his live rig. So he had 3 of those Rickenbacker V-shaped cabinets. They had Rick had 87 guitars on that little 40 watt stage, which was hilarious. Yeah, Robin was Robin. I mean, flawless, you know, just crushed the entire night. And I remember they were probably in the last few songs of the set. Some fucking asshole in the crowd threw a beer bottle, hit Rick Nielsen's checkerboard hammer.
Oof.
And I heard him playing it, and it just went clank, clank, clank. It just wouldn't play anymore. Oh. And he's got this look on his face, and he takes the guitar off, and he goes over and he grabs another guitar from his tech. He finishes the song. He walks up to the microphone at the end of the song and goes, I see one more thing fly at the stage. We're fucking out of here. Some asshole just knocked the frets up out of my guitar.
Wow.
So, I mean, he was livid. And they did
of
3 or 4 songs. Yeah, I would have been too. Yeah. But yeah, that's the first time I saw Cheap Trick. I don't know how many times I've seen him since then. We've got to play shows with him a few times when I've been out with Keifer. and they're always amazing. And I remember another night that stands out, I saw them at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and they were sick as fuck. Like, you could clearly see that Robin and Rick were both totally sick. Rick's voice was shot. Like, he tried to sing and it was just a screech. But Robin, he couldn't even talk in between songs, but he'd walk up to the mic and sing, and he was still Robin Zander. Every once in a while, there'd be a note that you could just see his eyes, like he was navigating in his head. Can I hit this note? And on a few occasions, he would find a different note that was just as fucking cool and not necessarily as high, and hit that. You're still sitting there going, God, that guy's the greatest fucking rock singer ever, period.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to sing as clean and as pretty and as beautiful as he can, but then to be able to scream like some of that stuff on the first few records is
he still
does it.
Yeah, he still does it.
Yep. And he smokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
He fucking smokes.
We did a couple shows with them where they would have us come up on stage and sing "Surrender" with him at the end of the night. They'd invite the band out, and he's up there singing, and everybody's on the mic, and he's holding it out here as far away from himself as he can. And he's singing, and he's still louder than everybody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, freaking nature. Yeah.
Phil, you've got a couple of those singing with Cheap Trick stories, don't you?
Yeah, he showed up to the residency. He and Dax showed up 2 weeks in a row. And he just showed up one time. We didn't know he was coming. He showed up. I think we were done. And then my buddy Greg Mangus comes up and leans over my shoulder and goes, Cheap Trick's here. I'm like, what? I guess we're not done. So we came back and we talked about it. He came over. It's like, what do you want to do? We go, we know your whole catalog. He goes, I don't want to do any of that shit. I go, what do you want to do? And he said, AC/DC. I go, we know that whole catalog too.
Of course.
Let's do Long Way to the Top. So we did Long Way to the Top, and we got, I forget which one was first, but I think we got He's a Whore out of him too.
Okay.
The next week he came, and he brought his son, Robin. So we did Dead Flowers, Long Way to the Top again, and Hot Love.
Nice.
I think that was the second week. And then the next time was when we did the thing in St. Paul with Gene, where Ace came and Don Henley, Don Felder.
There's a difference.
He was there. And then Cheap Trick played. So we're back all sharing like the same dressing area and stuff. And Robin comes into the room and goes, what are you guys singing on backup tonight? We don't know. What do you want us to do? So it ended up being the new one off their new, their at the time, the new record, Long Time Coming.
Okay.
So we had the four, me, Ryan, Jeremy, and Brent Fitz around one microphone going, long time coming.
Nice.
It was a great shot from behind. I forget who took it, but it's a great shot from behind us. It's a baseball stadium full, and it's Robin in his white denim and his white like Green Police thing on the mic, and us four all huddled up on one mic. So yeah, really special moment I never thought would happen. Like, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Epstein, do you have any good in-person Cheap Trick memories?
You know, I've never interviewed those guys, and it's probably just as well because I would just probably completely lose my shit. I mean, to me, they're like, I got into Cheap Trick with Live at Budokan, and like I had no idea of the context that they were working in. I had no idea where they were from. I was living in LA at the time. And they were like part of my transition from AM to FM radio.
Okay.
It's like I Want You to Want Me was the big hit. And I heard it on the AM dial. And then like by the fall of 79, I, was hip enough to kind of move over to FM. And and then I started hearing like Surrender and Gonna Raise Hell and like,
Gonna Raise Hell.
Like Drink had just come out. And
right.
And so like that was heavy on the FM dial. And then I moved to Chicago in January of '80, and they were all over WLUP and
yes.
Rockford, and so Chicago kind of claimed them as their own. And so like that was the first time where I really like kind of understood where they were from, what the where they were coming from, and like every kid that I went to 8th grade with was totally into Cheap Trick, and I think Heaven Tonight wound up being the first album of theirs I actually bought, and still my favorite to this day.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Nice. I think it's funny because I used to bartend at this place called The Press in St. Cloud back in Minnesota, where I'm from, And when they were a bar band, they used to play there. I think they played there once or twice. And the owner was always like, dude, all I remember is they were so fucking loud. The guitar player was weird, but you could tell they were really good. But they were just so fucking loud, you couldn't understand anything.
Hey, Dan, you didn't. So if you got to Chicago in 1980, did you see the Chicago Fest show they did in 80?
I did not see that. And
okay, but you know what I'm talking
about. I was like spending the summer in New York with my dad, and I got back to Chicago the day after they played.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Yeah. It was
legendary.
It was, but it was definitely, having been there, like the first time I saw them, they were opening. The bill was, this is funny, the bill was Cheap Trick opening. The first album had just come out, right? Which in my mind is still the best one because it's raw and twisted and dark and pop songs about suicide. You know what I mean? Like, I can get behind that. That's pretty funny if you ask me.
Well, they had one on Heaven Tonight too, you know.
Yeah, every record has a suicide song, so I'm like, this guy he's just pretending to be happy. He's fighting, you know, like the clowns are the most miserable guys. So I'm like, this dude paid some fucking dues. Anyway, but and the bill was, here's the family dog. One moment, guys. The bill was Cheap Trick on first. It was at the International Amphitheater, right on the south side, Dan, right?
I wouldn't remember
right?
well.
It was Cheap Trick, then Bebop Deluxe.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Seriously. And then the headliner was REO Speedwagon.
Oh wow.
And it would have been on You Can Tune a Piano, but You Can't Tune a Fish, which is, I mean, I think it's a killer fucking album.
Yeah,
I have it. I've got
That's a great album. And 9 Lives, actually. I know this isn't about REO, and I probably don't want to be on that show, but those 2 albums, though, you got to give it up for. And they did good.
Guitar player.
The what?
Gary Richrath was a great guitar player.
Oh, dude, I fucking love fucking REO, man.
His tone back in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like super saturated and whatever. And even now you listen to Richrath's tone from back in those days, and it stands up contemporarily. It's a pretty weird thing, you know. Great tone.
Dare I sidetrack this into REO anymore, but have you guys ever heard the first album?
Oh, yeah.
The one with a different singer?
Oh, no. Terry Luttrell.
Yeah, that's his name. Luttrell.
Because he went on to be in Dan Starcastle.
Oh, see, shit, I didn't know.
Wow.
My dad.
I Serve a Purpose.
My dad saw REO Speedwagon at Monmouth College right before that first record came out at a Battle of the Bands.
Wow.
Hey, Tony, are you close to Champaign where you're from?
I'm
they're from Champaign, right?
Chicago.
I believe you're right, yeah.
Yeah, they were a Champaign band.
Okay.
So, I mean, REO Speedwagon was one of those bands, like, High Infidelity was like Frampton Comes Alive for the rest of the nation. Like, you just got issued that album if you lived in Southern Illinois.
It was, driver's license, passport, High Infidelity.
Yeah, but that first album has got some fire stuff on. I think Rich Rat's still a teenager. Like, he's like 19, played on that record, and he's just crushing it on a 59 burst. Just killed it. Yeah.
Damn. We got some. Hold on, before we go forward, we got some comments in the chat room right here. Scotty Strickland says the PayPal was easy. I donated today. Thank you, Scotty. I really appreciate that. So does
so do the rest of us.
So does Rent. Love the Eastside Gamblers music. Ain't a summit without Shouse. And he also goes on to say his first taste of Cheap Trick was the Up the Creek 1984 movie theme song.
Spencer
Wow.
That actually was mine too, because the fucking outro was Surrender.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, when the Mad Magazine what the fuck was his name? The Mad Magazine guy.
Alfred E. Newman.
Alfred E. Newman was hitchhiking on the side of the road. That's what was playing.
That's how long it's been since I've heard that song.
Right?
Wow.
Oh no! I'm wrong. That was Up the Academy, Up the Creek. That's right.
Yeah. Up
with
the
Ralph
creek
Macchio.
was kind of like that. That was kind of the point where me and my friends all kind of got off the Cheap Trick train for a bit, where it was just like, yeah, we can't hang.
No, it was. You know what? That's absolutely. And this was actually my point in bringing up the Chicago Fest thing, because Peterson wasn't in the band anymore,
right?
And the undeniable magic of whatever it was that was riveting about them before, it was, but it
was that John Brandt or Pete Comita?
No, that was with Comita. And I mean, there's stories. I mean, I'm like a Cheap Trick anorak. I showed the other guys. I don't know if I showed your viewers here, but I mean, I got Rick Nielsen.
Wow.
I got a tattooed on my arm, and so I'm not even slightly fucking around. But so I mean, there's like, I know more about Cheap Trick than Rick Nielsen does. You know, I'm very sure of that. But so they were, and then my first girlfriend, I don't know if this is actually appropriate to go into, but my first
Sure it is.
My first girlfriend, I was 16, she was 19, but then she left me for their tour manager, who was 30 and a millionaire. But
that'll do it.
Yeah, but I mean, I still got mine back, and I can't go into those details, but it definitely taught me to be as cynical as humanly possible about most women. Anyway, aside from that little comedic interlude, you could just, so at that show, the Chicago Fest show, which for those of us at home that aren't as deeply imbued into Cheap Trick, Tom Peterson was the original bass player. Rick and Tom, the guitar player and the bass player, were best friends. Tom met a German fashion model named Dagmar, who was the Yoko Ono of Cheap Trick, convinced him to leave the band to form its own band called Native Tongue, and the best they could do was release an EP on Enigma of 5 songs. Dagmar was singing, and I think they had Tommy Price from Joan Jett's band on drums, maybe.
That sounds right, yeah.
Does that sort of ring a bell?
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so fuck that bitch, and I don't know, and how dare she ruin the greatest American band? You know, it's like, pussy, really, bro? Seriously? What about all of us who need rock and roll anyway? Right. So that's why he left. That, and I'm sure drugs and whatever. But you could just tell it wasn't the same chemistry. And that was 1980, and Up the Creek would have been right around that time. And then you got that same feeling from the heavy metal soundtrack, where it just kind of wasn't it. It was the same sounds.
I gotta say though, I love that
like
song.
83, 84.
And
Reach
Comita
Out.
wrote that. Yeah. That's a Comita song. Yeah. That's not even like, no, seriously. I embrace my pathetic knowledge of everything about Chief. Pete Comita wrote that song. And growing up in Chicago, me, Derek Frigo from Enuff, right? Because we were super close, and he lived around where I lived in Chicago, and he was like 14 and already could play everything on the first Van Halen album. He was that guy. But anyway, so he had a fake ID. I was older than him. I don't remember if I needed a fake ID or not, but we went into a bar in Chicago called The Exit.
Yes, remember.
Right? Well. Okay. And Comita was there, and I was like, oh my God, it's Pete Comita from Cheap Trick. So I got the inside skinny on how he wrote the song and blah, 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 blah. And actually, as a sidebar, just to make this all about me.
That was last week.
It's in my life, it's every week. But I replaced Comita in Enough's Enough.
Oh, no shit.
Now we're interested. But no, because he was before me, and then, yes, exactly. Thank you. And I'd like to think of myself in the center. No.
Look, brothers and sisters, so Alex Kane came in, and then it all became about the trim and cocaine, okay?
That, you know what, I not to be like the integrity guy, but I have as much interest in cocaine and trim. I mean, I say no to nothing, but I mean, first and foremost.
Look, brother, look, part of the road, Alex, you know this, brother, because, you know, you're on the road with me all the time. It's all about the wounded trim.
Even if you got to break their legs yourself, yeah. Hey, she just tripped. It's the 10th one
She
this
just
week.
tripped. My sunglasses didn't fall off, so I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I'm good, brother. I got you.
But he, we're supposed. So many stories. I won't even go into those. But yeah. So anyway, he was in Cheap Trick. He played the bass, and you know who he was in before Cheap Trick? Dan, do you know this?
Wait a minute. See, the Thumbs?
Well, but with Tommy Aldridge.
Right.
Tommy Aldridge was the drummer in
Black
Thumbs.
Oak, etc.
That was like his first.
Wow.
Cliff Johnson was the singer. That was like the band, like when those guys were like two generations, a generation of rock and roll being 4 years, right? They were like two generations ahead of me. So when I first started gigging and coming up in the early 80s, where I was actually playing gigs and whatever, well, mid 80s actually, everybody that was older than me was going, oh, wow, the Thumbs, man, you had to see them. And I'm like, what, you're telling me that they were better than Cheap Trick? I don't think so. But, and this is when I replaced Michelangelo Badio.
Michelangelo masturbating.
Hey, come on, stag off. But yeah, because I came up through the Ramones and Cheap Trick, and then I had to fucking learn that guy's shit. And it was literally fucking 12 hours a day of, and then I realized this is not living life. This is trying to impress people that I don't care if they like me or not. You know, but the only reason I still got any chops left is from that boot camp. But that was mid-'80s, a band called Holland who had a deal on Atlantic, and I replaced, I was Tommy Holland, right?
Okay.
You don't know him at all? Have you heard of him?
I remember the band name Holland.
Was a cross, maybe he still is, a cross between Robin Zander and Rod Stewart.
Wow.
All right.
And all the dudes wanted to have a beer, and all the chicks wanted to bang him. But it was, you know, drugs, bad choices, and booze. And, like, you know, I've been doing this since I've been 8.
Fucking rock and roll, Bubba.
Yes, if you're down with being a cliche, please go right ahead. But that's never interested me because I've always thought rock and roll was the purview of the rebel, the misfit, the person that didn't give a shit about acceptance. So all of the kids in middle America that weren't cool or the jock or whatever had somebody they could look at and go, you know what? I get this guy. Mm-hmm. And that was Rick Nielsen to me. But anyway, I don't even know what the question was or if there was a question, but that's very sorry. I'm out.
Was there a point when Peterson was not in Cheap Trick? Was he in Concrete Blonde? I could have swore I saw a video of him playing with them.
If only there was some device that we could look that up on.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell, but maybe.
I could have swore like he was playing with them at some point. All right, hold on.
Concrete Blonde got big. He was back in Cheap Trick.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. When he came back for the Flames, so when was that? That was like the late 80s, right?
Was that Woke Up with a Monster?
No, that was on. Oh shit! It had Don't Think So on it too.
It's the album before that.
Yes, he was.
Wait, yeah, it was. Wait a minute. Hang on.
He was in Concrete Blonde.
He was in Concrete Blonde.
The what?
He was in Concrete Blonde. Outside of Cheap Trick, Peterson has worked with artists such as Donovan, Willie Nelson, Mick Jagger, Harry Nilsson, Bill Lloyd, Frank Black, Concrete Blonde, Foster and Lloyd, Eden Everly, Coin Shipping Members, and the Mavericks. And also appeared in the Ramones 1986 video, Something to Believe in.
Really?
Oh. Yeah. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Wow. You just take credit for it. We're rubes. We'll believe anything.
Lap of Luxury was the Flame.
Lap of Luxury.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't Be Cruel was on it too. That was kind of the first few I got in the late '80s, like in early high school. Like the Flame was okay, but then Don't Be Cruel cover I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my brother didn't have the records. He was my introduction to rock and roll. So then that was my introduction to Cheap Trick, was that pretty much.
How did you go backwards to the other stuff then?
Budokan was the record to get. That's like everybody was kind of like that was on the top of everybody's list. And I was like, well, I'll just get that one. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then I found Budokan 2, the stuff that was in the show, but didn't make the first. So it's like High Roller.
Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen is like Top of the World. It was like, this is better than that one. I like the second one.
Although, Look Out, though. Look Out.
Look Out's amazing.
So good.
Incredible.
Did you guys ever spend time trying to figure that bridge out?
No.
It's it's crazy. It makes like it's in like 3 different keys at the same time. And Nielsen's kind of playing down the middle of them. And every once in a while, there's like a common note. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's absolute fucking genius. And it allows you to understand, because I believe that to be like they had that from the beginning. You know what I mean? That was already one of their tunes, like way back. Maybe, I guess we could find out. But then that explains the weird part in Dream Police.
Has the
the bars of 5, and then the chromatic, and then the 1, and that's just so. I mean, that was definitely inspired by drug abuse.
Drug abuse and ELO.
Yeah,
right. Drug abuse.
On the radio, one of the best ELO songs ever written.
Completely.
As was How Are You? You know.
It's like, true.
I remember reading an interview with Nielsen decades ago where he said if he had to pick only 2 records to be stranded on a desert island with, it would be like a greatest hits collection of The Move and a greatest hits collection of The Small Faces. And it was just like right on. Yeah. And you know, once I read that and went back and listened to their stuff, it's like, okay, I totally get it. Especially the Move stuff. Like,
for
clearly,
sure. Stuff.
Roy, I mean, obviously California Man was probably, you know, one of the first Roy Wood pen songs I ever heard, and it was in the Cheap Trick version. But I mean, his influence is all over their catalog.
Plus Brontosaurus.
Sorry, go on.
They throw Brontosaurus in there too.
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah.
I learned about the Move from them. Yeah, totally.
Same here. I did not hear about the Move until I got into Cheap Trick. But and then I've grown to appreciate the Move. But Cheap Trick still has a swagger that the Move, because they're English. So like, you know, like Zeppelin had swagger, and the Pistols had swagger, Queen had swagger. But like, if you look on either side of those eras in time, there's like not really a lot of swagger. I mean, the Beatles, obviously, and the Stones. Okay, maybe I'm disproving my own thing, but but it's not like
T-Rex. Wait a minute.
You know,
but no, T-Rex really swagger. They played with swagger, but they didn't have that charisma.
Right. It was just one guy.
Yeah, one guy, and which is like Bowie and Ronson had a swagger, but it wasn't that kind of like arena rock, just, you know, like Aerosmith exploding, and Kiss and Cheap Trick, just where it's like everybody's on 40. Whereas like with English music, barring pretty much Zeppelin or whatever, everybody's on like 8 at their most. But like American rock and roll, like we're at 12 when we're coasting. You know what I mean?
I kind of feel like too with English bands from time to time, and I think the Move's one of my thought way. I say this about the Move. I say this about the Kinks. I say this about XTC even. They're all brilliant bands, but there's something that's very English about them, musically and lyrically, that a lot of times doesn't necessarily translate as universally as, say, an American rock band.
Right.
And I feel like Cheap Trick takes all those great elements of the Move and makes them more palpable for everybody.
Right.
Versus like the Kinks, for example. I love the Kinks, but man, you listen to those lyrics and they're so
Waterloo Sunset. What's that
they're
got to do
so
with
to
me?
that area that if you're not from there, you don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I'm not a dedicated follower of fashion. I get he was being ironic, but irony, again, isn't like an American purview necessarily. But in Rick Nielsen, you can get the irony, you know, out Peter saying, where it's kind of like, well, that's just like twisted. Well, and there's the Suicide song off of record 3.
Yeah, there you go.
The only thing they couldn't replicate was the British teeth. First half of the show brought to you by Beater Amplification. That's 2 E's, beateramplification.com. Check these bad boys out. 3 fucking channels of testicular fortitude. 100 watts, pull your tubes. You got 12 tubes, you got yourself a 50. These things are badass. The Izzy Presley TCB1 will be available soon. Hand-wired, hand-built. Fucking amazing. Also, my good friends over at Mackie. I am currently running through the Mackie Big Knob Studio Plus, and as everybody that's going to be watching this on the video, I am just got these yesterday. The what are these? The EM91Cs. This microphone. It sounds fucking great. I'm fucking loving this. The headphones, the whole 9 things. You guys want to get into podcasting, home recording? Check out Mackie.com. MACKIE. And check out these studio bundles. They start from 1 microphone and a little interface to 2 or 3 microphones and headphones and a soundboard and all this shit for dirt cheap. Check them out. Well, not dirt cheap, but very, very affordable to get into it. Check them out, Mackie.com. Did you guys ever hear the Bunny Carlos story about Alive 2?
No.
I don't know if I believe that or not.
I don't know. I saw it in an interview with him, and I can't remember the publication.
He says what?
They were opening for Kiss.
Yep, true.
And here in Los Angeles, and they're recording Alive 2. And apparently Peter was so fucked up that they literally had Bonnie in the fucking makeup and costume ready to go just in case.
Oh, I believe that.
No.
I could see that. Why not? They did it with his tech.
That's fair.
Yeah, and Tommy. I didn't know this when we were around Gene. I would have totally went like, hey, was Bunny Carlos ever going to fill in for Peter? Yeah.
Yeah, right?
If you can get that answer, I mean, that is definitely a piece of informational puzzle I'm missing.
Well, he's probably home right now. You could text him. He's home right now yelling at people on Twitter, telling them wear masks and stay home.
Yeah.
Who is? Gene. Is that what he's telling people?
Oh yeah. Oh, he's fighting with people about this shit, and I don't want to get into it, but I just thought it was hilarious.
Well, he's a capitalist, so I mean, you know, he's voting Republican, so it's interesting that he would be embracing that.
We can all do this together. We all have to stay home. We all have to live. We all have to live, because if we all live, we can all go see Kiss on our farewell tour and hit up kissonline.com and buy your masks there.
Click on my codpiece.
Yeah. Click on my codpiece.
So you don't agree with that, though?
I don't know. It's funny to think of Pete with a cigarette and a tie.
Yeah, right.
It's like like, if he kept everything else on, but just the makeup and had the
my God
tie and the shirt.
I tell you what, though,
yeah.
If you think about it, you think about the way Peter plays and the way that Bun plays and that swing.
Yeah,
he would have played that shit.
Yeah.
And that's an old school thing, because like guys like our age and stuff, they don't like, even Dax doesn't swing the way Bunny swings.
Right.
Like it's you know who's got the swing? Brad Elvis. He still has the swing.
Oh yeah. But it is a generational thing. It's a time they were so close to that music.
Right.
And Bunny's is really unique. I mean, as far as like, you know, swing and drummers, Bunny has his own definite shuffle swing.
Well, it's funny. I mean, not to go off the Cheap Trick train right here, but it's like, you know, even Steven Adler, I have a good friend who used to drive Steven around after he was out of rehab, and they would turn on this AM station. It was all like this 50s and 60s big band swing shit. And he's like, that's where I got my style. That's where I got it from.
Adler had that swing.
Yeah, exactly.
He still got it.
He does.
That's
He does.
what made the first Guns N' Roses record so great.
Yeah, that's
right,
true.
man.
I
Dude,
don't
it's
hear that
absolutely true.
absorb at all. Like I hear zero. I'm not, obviously he's a great musician, and I'm not saying, but like that dude, zero swings.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, it's not to go back to fucking Kiss, but when Kiss went from Peter Criss to Eric Carr, when Eric Carr was a Bonham guy, he could not play those fucking Peter Criss songs. We were just watching Australia 1980, and it's like he can't play those songs like Peter. Not that he played them bad.
Same deal.
Well, yeah, but that was at 1,000 miles an hour as well. Like almost all the 80s shit,
Oh, that was were they and I mean for like I definitely, I mean, not to get off a Cheap Trick as you say, but we did at least for a moment. I mean, but I mean there was Dynasty 2000, Charisma, I guess, but I mean as far as my teenage heart was concerned, it's just out of a sense of respect. Then I remember I was getting my appendix taken out, or my tonsils, one of the two, I don't remember. And that's when Unmasked came out.
Right.
And I go, like, Unmasked is the doctor of the Kiss catalog. But then again, but so is the Elder. So it's kind of...
I remember I interviewed Gene once, and I was like, so what's the worst song you've ever written? And he kind of like, wasn't coming up with an answer. I was like, was it She's So European? And he goes, the demo was great. You should have heard the demo.
You should have heard the demo. The demo was amazing, which you can find on kissonline.com. Just click on the codpiece. Let's go to the let's see. Let's go to the chat room again. Jennifer wants to know, where is Johnny Martin? Johnny could not make it tonight. Unfortunately, it was a last minute. Shannon will checking in.
You know what? We're super sorry to have let you down, Jennifer. We'll try to be more like Johnny next time.
Yeah, right. Steve Conley says Robin is my favorite. Yes. Steve Conley says Robin is my favorite singer of all time. Alan says Cheap Trick. Everyone has a story. And apparently one of your stories, he goes, Dan's so fucking cool. That's the first time you're ever going to hear those words. Kidding, buddy. You know that. Let's see. Harry Hummus, the Heeb. I just found the same info. That's apparently about the Concrete Blonde thing. Kevin says, Izzy got swagger. I do. And Alan says, The Who. Back to the European stuff. Here, let's do this. Let's take a short
swagger. They're like as American as you get.
And Surrender is basically a Who song with twisted Midwestern lyrics. So.
Twisted, but as is Dream Police. Dream Police is even more a Who song because it's Bob O'Reilly and Spider.
Right.
With the keyboard, with the arpeggio thing, even there. Yeah,
exactly.
See, this is what I love. People are like, what are you going to guys talk about Cheap Trick for 2 hours about? What do we always talk about? Nothing.
Telethon, man. I think not only should we pay your rent for 6 months today, but I think we should go 24 hours.
I love it. Here's what we're going to do. We're taking a short break. If you guys have to go throw a whiz, go throw a whiz. Let's get these ads in. We'll be right back with another effing podcast. We've got Alex Kane. We've got Tony Higbee. We've got Dan Epstein and the 2E's Philip Shouse. We're right back. Cheap Trick. Drunken Summit, baby.
We're not even drunk. I'm going to go get some booze. I'll be right back, gentlemen.
Rockwood Saloon Authentic Apparel takes rock and roll fashion to a new level with their tees and tanks for men and women. They also make custom shirts, jackets, vests, pants, hoodies, beanies, and more. The Rockwood Graphics Department can design anything from your logo, t-shirt design, promo posters, band swag, and printed at great prices. From tour shirts and custom stage gear to killer threads for the street to the stage, Rockwood Saloon has it all. Rockwood Saloon, authentic rock and roll apparel for stage and street. World Tour tested for quality, comfort, style, and durability. Check them out at www.rockwoodsaloon.com. That's rockwoodsaloon.com.
If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
Retro Arcade brings Minnesota and surrounding areas arcade games from the days gone by. All of those great games from pizza joints and arcades are available in cocktail units and custom machines. Dozens of favorites from your youth in one machine to complete your game room or man cave. Retro Arcade also sells and services your favorite pinball machines. Find them at facebook.com/80arcade. That's facebook.com/80arcade. Retro Arcade. Your youth is just one click away.
Hey, what's going on? This is Tom Arnold. I like fat women and cocaine. And you're listening to Izzy Presley here on another fucking podcast. And I know Izzy from Cocaine Anonymous meetings. I've actually seen him at the meetings with Ace Von Johnson from, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but Ace has got a bad coke problem. And his sponsor is Josh Todd from, and again, I shouldn't say this out loud, but Josh is his sponsor for Buck Cherry. He's addicted to upskirt porn. And they're both being sponsored by the Eagles. The whole band, the Eagles. Anyways, another fucking podcast right here with Izzy Presley, and call your sponsor. Fucking A.
Fuck yeah. We had a double liner there. I was trying to get the Uncle Ted one in before the commercials were done, but my computer was being a dick. Second half of the show brought to you by A&P Laser, everybody. aplaser.com. Check them out. They got a lot of cool shit. They're actually laser engraving stuff with the fucking Tiger King shit on it now. Good for them. They're so good they can even laser engrave a hot dog bun. Mother's Day is coming up. Hit them up, aplaser.com. Get mommy something special and something personalized at aplaser.com. Also, John Palumbo Design. We love us some John Palumbo over here at Another Effing Podcast. You have a band, you have a website, you have a business. You need a logo, you need a website done. Hit up our good friend, John Palumbo, at johnpalumbodesign.com. We are back with the second half of the Cheap Trick Drunken Summit. Who knows how late we're going to go? I don't know. There's alcohol.
I love you guys.
What kind of pathetic drunk do you take me for? Dude, there was Jack Daniels and cocaine. But yeah, we're having fun here. Alex Kane, Tony Higbee, Phil Shouse, and Dan Epstein all joining us. I texted Bryn. I didn't hear back from him. It's late. He might be in bed.
It's late. You're right.
That's right. It's almost 9 o'clock Elvis time.
Oh,
so
yeah,
he might be in bed. Yeah. He's
hanging upside down in a closet right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's going to get up.
But he's awake.
He's going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and hit me up when I'm hammered. And for his coffee talk, as I'm like mainlining Jack Daniels. Hey, Brent, I was going to see you.
My question is as follows, though. I mean, okay, so you'll be drunk at 5, but what's wrong with the other 24 hours? 23.
I mean, that's just a continuation.
Okay, so it's not like you hate the other hours to be drunk.
No. I embrace all the hours to be drunk. You know, I mean, fuck, we have nothing else to do. Might as well, get drunk. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Wilk checking in, saying this is so awesome.
Oh my God, she's awesome. I know her.
Oh, Shannon's great. Shannon's fucking great.
You know her?
Yeah, she played in the jam, in the Kiss
and
jam.
And actually, not only that, but just yesterday she bought the Shark Island album off of me.
Nice. I got to do that too. I'm gonna buy it.
Should, because I need your fucking money in my pocket.
Wait. Do you have to ship her the Shark Island album still?
Yeah. Why?
I just wonder if she's gonna get her Shark Island album before I get my Life, Sex, Death T-shirt.
And just for that, yes.
Tony, you guys still have those Trans Am looking shirts?
Yeah, we do.
I got to get one of those too.
We can make that rock and roll dream come true.
Fuck yeah. One thing I did want to talk about is the Albini in color. Has everybody heard this? I'm assuming everybody has.
I've had it for about 10 years now. Probably.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
And that's my go-to listen when I put on Cheap Trick.
Really?
I have a great story about that, actually.
Please.
All right. So I was at work one day in my office, and in a high-end guitar showroom, basically. And it's been 5 or 6 years ago. And Tom, regular customer, and a good friend at this point, lived in Nashville for quite a while. So I'm in there, and I'm just playing music, not thinking anything of it. But I put that album on, I'm listening to it. Tom comes walking in, and him and I are shooting the shit, and he was buying a guitar, and he was doing some trades. And so I'm working on his trade deal, and it's probably playing for 10 or 15 minutes, and all of a sudden he goes, "What is this?" And I looked at him, and I go, "It's you." And he goes, "Yeah, I know, but what am I listening to?" And I go, "This is the Steve Albini sessions." He goes, "How did you get this?" And I said, a friend of mine, like my old band Caprice, is doing a record, and this guy had a hard drive, and he gave it to me with a bunch of other stuff. And he goes, "Huh?" And I said, "You guys should totally press this on vinyl and release it for a record store now."
Right?
Yeah.
And his exact words were, he goes, "It's not even done." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's background vocals that aren't done." He goes, "We never finished it." He goes, I go, "Well, it sounds fantastic the way it is. You should just put it out." He goes, "It's really not done."
And how long ago was this?
This was probably like 5 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, they're worse than Guns N' Roses at getting shit done.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I gotta be honest though. To me, it sounds done, and it's
Oh my God.
They could they could press it on vinyl, put it out for record store. It'd be amazing.
It'd be great. It'd be perfect for that.
That's a great idea. I'm surprised. But I have to say, I mean, some people go to church and read the Bible. I listen to in color.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm right there with you. I like the Albini thing as an exercise, but I think part of the problem is that the CD versions of In Color are so weak sounding. But if you listen to an original,
vinyl,
which I have.
I have that too.
It sounds amazing, and it sounds tough, and it sounds deep, and which is what I was going to that Albini thing for, but then I started listening to the vinyl of it again, and it was just like, wait a minute, this is what I need, not the Albini.
Yeah, until you get to the original version of fucking I want you to want me, and then you go, okay, maybe the Albini's got something better.
The one thing that's great in the Albini sessions though is that version of "I'm Losing You."
Oh
yes.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
well, but also there wasn't anything to contrast that against. Whereas, like, I listened to Down, and I remember how I felt when I was 12, and I still listen to Down, and it'll take me back to that emotional response. Whereas I listen to the Albini thing, and like some of the care. And I realized, I'm going to make an album more like the first album out of In Color. But it was never meant to be that. That's like listening to Revolver and going, but I want this to sound like Meet the Beatles. Well, there's no point to that.
Yeah. That's also, Down is my favorite Cheap Trick song.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
That's fantastic.
My buddy Randy that was in Flip, but when he was teching for them, and Flip was opening for Cheap Trick, it was like 96. They were on tour with him, so 96, 97. He got to fucking sound check with them, and for Tom, so he played bass, and they go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "Down," and they go, another one.
Dude, okay, that's a true story. A couple of years ago, we're opening for Cheap Trick, and I was in talking to Tom and Rick before the show, and that's kind of when I met Robin and talked to him a bit for the first time, and got to know him a little bit. I leave the dressing room, I'm walking out, and Robin chases me out in the hallway, and he goes, "Hey, Tony," and I turn around, I'm like looking for another Tony, because I'm like, surely Robin Zander's not I'm looking around, and he goes, "Hey," "Hey, what do you want us to play tonight?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "What do you want us to play tonight?" And I go, he goes, "Anything." And I go, "Downed." And he went, "Downed?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right, I'll talk to the guys. I'll see if we can do it." They didn't do it.
That has got to be the ultimate Cheap Trick geek song.
It's such a good tune.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then a couple shows later, I'm over there and I'm looking in there. I saw Robin's guitar vault, and there was a master set list in his guitar vault of everything that they could play. Whoa. And it was all marked with what guitar he would play if they started calling audible, so his tech would know what to give him. And it was like 80, 90 songs. It was insane.
Insanity.
But Down was on that list, and I was like, that motherfucker. Like,
just being lazy, pretending to be your friend.
Like, come on, man.
It's like you'd expect that response out of "I want you to want me," but you say something deep like "Down," and it's like, "Oh God, again."
Yeah, I saw them opening for Aerosmith, right? And again, two of the greatest American rock and roll frontmen who still got it. I don't know where David Lee Roth gave up the ghost, though, but that dude went from being Elvis to being somebody's uncle. But and they were doing, I think it was House's Rockin', right? Which is one of my favorites. Have you figured that tune out?
No, I've never tried to learn it.
No.
You guys sit down and learn House's Rockin'. You're going to be like, are you kidding me? Because you listen to it, and if you listen to it in a linear sense, you're like, oh, this all totally makes sense. But in the same way that I challenged Jeremy to come up with the 10 albums thing, just because I'm like, nobody else wanted to do it. But, Steve Conte nominated or whatever, it's me, and I had to because I love him so much, and he's such a hero to me, so then I threw somebody else under the bus. But what was I just... Oh, figure that tune out. You're going to be like, are you kidding me? Seriously.
Okay, you lost me. There's no way in hell I'm going to be able to figure that tune out. If you just said, are you kidding me? You've heard me play, Alex.
You'd be able to figure it out, but you'd be stunned at where you have to go to be able to play it. And that's all I'm going to say. I will say it is the next logical evolution of what he began doing on Surrender.
Okay, the key changes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But now it's in a different context, and it is absolutely brilliant.
I will.
Seriously, it's like... It's so, you sit there and you go, I did not even know this was a way to write a tune.
It's deceptively hard because he was a master at writing like a simple, not simple, but like a great hooky, catchy pop tune. And then when you learn to play it, you're like, what? Well, I mean, a lot of Beatles tunes are like that too. Like, how does this work? This
I also
shouldn't
feel
work.
like they're the kings of the modulation.
Yeah, where you can't tell unless you're playing it. Wait, it isn't an A anymore. It's an A sharp.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I mean, just that whole idea of starting it in A surrender, A sharp, and then you modulate into the first verse. Of course, why wait for the modulation at the end? And for anybody listening that isn't like as deeply imbued in being a nerd as the five of us are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting not being my strong suit. Modulation is like in Surrender. Perfect example. Mama told me to surrender. Blah, blah. When you get into that third verse where you hear that lift, that's called the modulation. Changing keys, and that's what a modulation does. And you've heard it a zillion times, but that's what it's called.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Really?
I just thought it was a key change.
Well, it is. It's a key change, but modulation is just...
Stop using big words. That's like a big word, like gymnasium. Yep.
Yeah. Exclamation. So check out House's Rockin'. Brilliant arrangement. But here was the point of even mentioning the story, though. I saw him fuck it up.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw him fuck it up opening for Aerosmith. And at one point, and because the arrangement is a little bit challenging, and at one point, Robin did a thing that didn't happen in that place, and I think it was just somebody called it off the set list. You know what I mean? That master list you were talking about. They're like, yeah, sure, we know this thing. And it was the fun, and like, I noticed it because I know Cheap Trick songs. Right. And like Robin started singing a part that wasn't there, right? And, you know, and so Rick is playing his guitar above his head and throwing picks and whatever. And all of a sudden, because Rick Nielsen is my God, literally, right? He's my God. He's my father. He's like all of that to me. But, and you see him going from like, oh, I'm just crazy Hunts Hall guy, right? Hunts Hall was his sort of, yeah, whatever, you know. Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden you see him shift into Zappa mode, where it's like, oh, no, you didn't, motherfucker. You know what I mean? It went from, oh, crazy, wacky guy, and then, like, he just got really serious, and he pulled his shit together, and he went over and he stood by Robin, where it's like, we are not going to fucking train wreck in 2014.
Although I'll tell you, if you want to talk Cheap Trick train wrecks, I saw them in Chicago at Northerly Island in, I guess it was 2016, and they fucked up Surrender so badly, and it was Dax's fault. And it was just like, you're going to tell me you don't know how to play this fucking song?
You were sitting on stage with your father, who wrote that song, classic, since you were 2.
It left such a bad taste in my mouth. It was the first time I'd seen him without Bunny E. And it was just like, and everybody's like, no, Dax is cool. Dax is legit. It was like, you fuck up Surrender on stage with Cheap Trick, you're not legit. I'm sorry.
Listen, you got to cut the kid some slack. I saw Peter Criss fuck up calling Dr. Love.
Well, I mean, we've all seen
but he was wasted.
Yeah, but no, literally. Okay, so here's the Peter Criss thing. Kiss tangent. So I saw him as the Worldwide Live Tour.
Let me get the shirt.
A few shows in, yeah, go get it. And anyways, they're up there and they start doing Dr. Love, and you know how that cowbell comes in?
Oh no, we didn't blow the cowbell
like that. He blew the cowbell. He came in
on the one,
a beat off. Da 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 da. And Gene is turning around, just giving him the stare down, man. Just like, and they are trying to get it back together, and it was the most uncomfortable 20 seconds of a Kiss show I have ever seen in my life.
Let me tell you about a beat off. Let's go to Twitter. We got some people chiming in on Twitter. Minnesota says first concert I ever saw was at Taste of Minnesota on Harriet Island regarding Cheap Trick. All right, very cool.
What year was that? Can you ask him?
I will hold on. I will ask him. Hold tight. Let me because just in case he isn't listening, what year? Okay. Looks like
my mom, who I'm hanging out with now because of the virus and stuff, is she's just about to walk in and grab the dog. So
okay.
Please talk amongst yourselves.
Also on Twitter, I got let's see, Mara Medina. She's a 7-year cam girl that just followed me. And then also this is from at Big Hair Plas Grass. In a few minutes, I'm participating in a drunken panel discussing about Cheap Trick. Oh, that's Epstein. Never mind.
Yeah. That's... Give me some hype, man. Come on.
You gotta invite that guy.
Oh my God.
We should do this like naked, just to
no, because I'm recording a video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's get back to the. Let's get back to the
talk about
chat.
Love Gun, but I can't show my dick. Really?
Yeah, exactly. Kevin says.
Okay,
actually, I'm gonna go. Okay, Stephen Conley says I saw them fuck up Dream Police. Tom's fault. First time I ever saw them. Also says speak now, forever hold your peace. Modulation for days.
Yes, perfect example. That actually is ground zero for the modulation thing from Cheap Trick right there. That's a great point. Whoever made that.
Yeah, and actually he's a Kiss geek, which is awesome. Kevin says, did anyone ever see Cheap Trick as a headliner? As must see them on a bill where they're open.
Yeah, always.
Oh yeah.
And he also says Gonna Raise Hell, one of the best Cheap Trick songs.
Yep.
Fuck rules. Gonna Raise Hell fucking rules.
And let me know when you're done, because I definitely want.
I am done.
As the Yoda of the conglomerate here.
He's the Carrie Stevens of this week.
But it's
I'm kidding, Alex. I'm fucking with
not
you.
only do I like how you're insulting previous guests, but I like how you continue to do so while I am here with a Cheap Trick tattoo. Let alone that I was literally standing next to Xander when he found out that they got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I wrote, and I was the guy who got Rick Nielsen in on the Jesse Camp album, and I wrote for Xander's solo album.
Alex, I'm just busting your balls because I love you.
That presupposes I still have some.
Right. Funny. Before you get into your thing, this is the ironic thing. Rob and Xander found out that they got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
That's the night I'm talking about.
Yes, at Lucky Strike at a bowling alley. They got signed to their first record deal at a bowling alley in Wisconsin.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. That's true. And because I think that he went down there that night, and remember, he was drinking tall boys like that.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I was banned at that point.
Oh, that's right. Mom, Hey, Mom, I'm doing an interview right now. Don't take him like that. Okay, Lucky, go with Mom. Hi, America.
I was waiting for what he was going to say. And
I know, but that was just that was actually contrived suspense. And you know what? To sort of add to this weird synchronistic kind of circle thing that we're talking about, I bought the first album. The first album is the only reason I got through high school without killing people, right? First and second. I was there for the whole entire journey. I'm from Chicago. They've informed and taught me, and they've showed me how to not lay down in the face of adversity, but fight through it and come up with different ways of survival. This is what we do in the Midwest. We figure out to not die and make it look easy. And I learned that from my rock and roll heroes, Cheap Trick. That's why I got him tattooed on my thing. He never laid down and died, nor did he give a shit about playing by the rules. Anyway, so I'm with him for literally the whole, when I was signed to Warner Brothers with Life, Sex, and Death, Cheap Trick was signed to Warner Brothers. That, to me, meant something. You know what I mean? On and on. I wrote songs for his solo album. I did. Hey, buddy.
Sorry about that.
He's back.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
When Robin got signed to Interscope, Tom Wally had me give songs to the record. Rick played on my tunes on the Jesse Camp album that I wrote songs and played guitar on, so on and so forth. But that's not my point. My point is this. So for the entirety of these, like 77 till when was that? 2015 that they got in?
15 or 16, I think.
And what is that in math? 16, so plus, and then you go back to 76. That's like 30 years.
Almost 30 years. Or 40.
Is that 40 years?
40 years.
So 40 years of being a Cheap Trick devotee. And I was literally, dude, I came off stage at Lucky Strike. And we'd been talking, and because Holland used to open up for him all the time. Ken Adamati, the manager, used to manage Holland. So we were always opening for Cheap Trick. And, I'm like 20 at that point. Anyway, so you go through all this time, blah, 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 blah. I come off stage from playing, and he had said earlier, well, yeah, we're supposed to find out tomorrow if we're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think that's why he was down there at the bowling alley, because he's like, I don't want to be thinking about this. I'm going to go down. I'm going to hang out with some other rock and roll pigs. I'm going to get drunk, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I come off stage after just measuring my life by this band, and I come off stage and I go, well, and he's looking at his phone, right? And it was all I could do to go, hey, why don't you give me your number, bro? I didn't. Maybe we can hang out and, do stuff. I don't know. You want to see a movie? And he's looking at his phone, and he's kind of bewildered a little bit. And he goes, we're in. We're in. I just found out we're in. The first thing I said is, well, do I have to start referring to you differently? And he goes, yes. call me Sir Robin. A little bit of a Python reference, right? I'm like,
right, right.
Well, I'm with you. But I mean, what is the weirdness as far as like all of our dreams, all of our aspirations, everything that we believe in, everything that we take more seriously than the bullshit that we're told is serious, right?
Right.
And through my whole life, I've been sort of parallel to this thing. And I also, with the significance that they've had for me in my life as an artist and a dreamer and a teenager and a rock and roll dog and everything, I'm standing next to the fucking guy 2 seconds after he got in.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I bought the first record. You know what I mean? I saw him with Bebop Deluxe and REO Speedwagon. You know what I mean? And through the midst of all of this, I was there next to him when he got the prize. What that means, I don't know, but it means some motherfucking shit for sure.
Yeah.
Right, right.
There is some interconnectivity. Some people call it God. I call it physics, but something connects us.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
fair.
Karma.
And you're playing with Gene and Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Phil play fucking bass with Ace Frehley, you haven't seen Detroit Rock City played right.
You know what? You're right. He's right. He's right.
The only time I ever heard played properly, except on the record, of course. For that. Now I know what the song was meant to sound like.
There you go. Cheers, man. Thanks for noticing. Thank you.
Fucking hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. That's good. Holy shit.
Phil feels like uncomfortable.
No.
No.
He always plays the East and he played it or something, but it goes it's like a big jump.
He never even did better. He just went bum, slop, 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 G flat.
Right.
You know.
Are you talking about Gene or Phil?
Gene. Phil knows how to play it.
I play it the record way.
Right. I'm sorry. Gene is a very underrated fucking bass player, especially.
And it starts with him because he's always shitting all over his musicality. And I listen to the records and I'm like, no, you're playing a walking bass line that Sting couldn't think of, and you're singing the song.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're no good?
He was always the first to downgrade. I mean, even with us, we would talk about like what a cool chord progression or bass line. He'd go, Bad Company did it first, or somebody like, or something like that. He would never take credit for any of the music stuff. He would go, nope, Bad Company, or whoever did it first. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah, but that's like John Lennon saying, Dear Prudence, no, that sucks. All I'm doing is ripping off Little Richard. No! You're taking it, changing it, and making it something new for us. Thank you.
Gene he'd take credit for all the business stuff. Music, he would always, nope.
And that's so wrong.
Bad Company, I know.
He's a great musician. And just to be able to understand teenage psychology so much that when you hear okay, yes, there's some Bad Company in there, but dude, Bad Company did not change my life.
Right.
Bad Company did not speak to a 12-year-old.
It didn't.
Yeah.
Bad Company was for old people that were 18.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean,
18 was like, oh, that's an old guy.
Yeah, I wish I was old then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
He had the three of us going on all the time about that stuff, and he'd always defer it to one of the English bands. And we were like, no, but Ladies Room does this. And well, the Stones did this. And so, yeah, he always did that. But,
and did you ever call him on it and go, dude, could you shut up? You're a great fucking bass player. You sing your dick off.
Yeah.
You change people's lives. Just accept it.
Yeah. He would never, yeah, I was like, no, you're really great. Look what you've done. Well, but yeah, never would. I don't know.
And you know
Good
what?
guy.
I have to say, I love the humility. I mean, the humility that he shows, you know, I mean, and it's like Kim Kardashian made a lot of money. I don't give a shit about what you did in the business world.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Kim Kardashian made a shit ton of bread from, you know, blowing some rap dude and everything that happened after that. So don't diminish what you meant to us by equating your success with Kim Kardashian, bro. What you did was you electrified a generation. And that's because you were taking chances and you were breathing fire and you were for Alice Coopers and he doesn't do the lifting into the rafters thing anymore, does he?
It's a platform that goes up, but he still goes up in the air.
Really? But they're not chaining him to the thing anymore?
No. He's actually like got a thing he stands on and that lifts up. And
I don't want to fall over and break my hip.
Right. Well,
and he's terrified of heights.
Really?
Yeah. So every night it's like he's scared to death of heights. So yeah, every night's a horrible experience for him to do that.
You know what? That's exactly what makes him an incredibly exceptional man. Because I until you said that, I didn't know that. But I think that the persona Gene Simmons, all of that is the antithesis of who Gene Klein is. And I think he faces his demons every night. I think that you say that he put all of his fear in front of him and he faced it head on. And to find out that he's afraid of heights makes me go, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, you are such a badass.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would be surprised if not all of us are as nerdy and geeky and socially incompetent as I am, but I know I am. And I got the front, I can deal with it. But we weren't cool in high school.
No.
Iggy Pop wasn't cool in high school. Joey Ramone wasn't cool in high school. It's the freaks, the losers, the misfits. These are the people that face their demons so others don't have to. And I'm not taking anything away from the people that don't have themselves lifted into the lighting truss because they're afraid of heights. Fuck yeah, Gene Simmons for doing it, man. And that even that story just makes me love rock and roll even more.
Well, speaking of Gene, did he reply to you?
Not yet.
Ah,
So check.
God.
Fuck that guy.
Check, tweet. Everybody tweet at Gene Simmons right now. Gene, check your email. You have a very important email that you must respond to. Jennifer wants to know, does Alex have his own podcast?
No.
No, because, you know, Izzy needs to make a living and I wouldn't want to undermine that.
Yes, a living.
He's a giver.
I'm a giver, you know. Yeah, he is. Oh my God. Ugh.
So I got a question for you guys.
Please.
Where do you stand on All Shook Up?
May I first?
Yes.
Of course.
Just Got Back, one of the best songs they ever did. Love Comes a Tumbling, great primal knuckle dragger rock and roll song. Robin kicking ass. World's Greatest Lover, nice try.
Stop This Game.
All of that stuff, yeah. But on the whole, I think Elvis began to leave the building there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I feel like
me.
Side one is it's almost a perfect album side, and then like you almost see, you can hear the life force leaving on side two.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. As you know, a die-hard 100% Cheap Trick, you know, acolyte. Like if I had a national country, it'd be Cheap Trick.
Right.
So I'm with you there.
Although, I mean, Next Position, Please has its good moments, etc. It's not like it just went, you know.
No, there's still genius there, but the fire that was stoking the genius, I think they were probably starting to drink too much or take too many drugs or not knowing where they were. But Next Position Please, great song. What's the second song on there? Borderline, great tune.
Heart.
I mean, I get it. Like, okay, we're tapping into our Who roots, but kind of, where's the chorus, bro? Where's the chorus? But what was the one that was kind of like a shuffle band? It was like the second of the not Borderline. I just said that one. But there's good stuff on that record. There is good stuff on that record, but they were sort of almost starting to self-parody themselves a little bit.
Right.
Ready this week. I went and listened to all like the missing period, like the ones that don't get mentioned. But man, Busted, I love.
Really? Busted is and the Chrissy Hine duet.
Yeah, it's awesome. I like those. Woke Up with the Monsters, great, and Rockford kicks so much ass that it's
Rockford's a great album. Actually, thank you for bringing that up. There's some really, for me, that was and Boom Crash Bang Zoom. No,
yeah.
Hello.
I had that one when it came out. Yeah, I got that one.
There's a bunch of really cool Cheap Trick songs on that record, regardless of whose name is on it.
Yeah. I would say, well, I'm not a huge fan of Woke Up with a Monster. You're All I Want to Do is like one of my all-time favorite Cheap Trick songs.
Yeah.
What's the tune on there? Is Girlfriend on that one? Girlfriend on? Is it the one? That's,
yes.
The one that's it's the AC/DC song, but it's evened out in 4. It's Dog Eat Dog. No, it's not. It's a Problem Child, I think. But it's an even. They made it 4/4. They
Rather
than
whatever he's doing.
No, Bad Boy Boogie. It's Bad Boy Boogie, evened out. Listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I just learned something else. I love this.
Yeah. So that was great
and cool.
What was that?
Informative as well. I like your podcast.
I call it infotainment.
As I lift my All Shook Up album cover.
Wow.
See, I believe Alex busted my balls about this about a week ago.
Good.
Some days, this is my favorite Cheap Trick album.
Really?
I love this album. But, and here's the thing. I mean, I'm looking at the track listing. Granted, it's a bitch to read, but because it's all in red and it's like printed this fucking big on the back of it.
Oh, yeah, they're Coke albums.
I mean, yeah, just got back. I saw them with Aerosmith a few years back on the tour you're talking about, open with that song.
Wow. But that's an unbelievable tune.
It's such a great track. But yeah, Baby Loves to Rock.
Mm-hmm. That's a great song. Killer. And now here's a very, 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 very interesting, although marginal factoid. The line, the more I think about sex, the better it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a Kate Bush line he ripped off.
Really?
Really
funny.
Wow.
I'd have to go back and find out which Kate Bush song it was, but I'm a huge Kate Bush fan. Wow. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, me and Rick want to fuck Kate Bush.
Well, dude, so check it out. But listen, Can't Stop, but I'm going to try. It's a killer tune.
So good.
Yeah, but is the riff as cool as Hello Kitty's?
Well, it's
like, he's doing the,
but listen,
Gary Glitter.
Yeah, he's doing Gary Glitter. Yeah. It's like Gary Glitter versus Wings. So
yeah, but I mean,
I like Wings though. I'm a Wings.
But the second side, man, the second side's got Love Comes Tumbling.
Mm.
And
but High Priest of Rhythmic Noise, no.
Yeah, but it's also got I Love You, Honey, but I Hate Your Friends.
Yeah, but even that's kind of like, okay, so let's dance, and then an unlistenable part.
All right. See, I say a lot of times that's my favorite.
Motherfucker, the next
time. But Alex fucking Kane. But then I put on Heaven Tonight, and I go, maybe Heaven Tonight's my favorite Cheap Trick record, and that's.
Are you hip? So the first album, is that part of your?
I love the first album.
Right.
I love the first 5 albums.
Yes, I am totally.
Excluded, I love the first 5 studio albums.
Yeah.
And what was the black and white one, Cheap Trick, when they came back with
that was in the 90s. That was a great album.
That was a great album. The single.
Dude, Rockford was a great album too.
Rockford smokes.
Rockford's a great album with tons of cool shit. And also it's good to note that Cheap Trick was one of the very first bands that went indie.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else was still super gluing themselves out of desperation to the major labels with diminishing returns. Cheap Trick was like, well, we're just going to go fucking indie. And again, my analogy, and this holds true for the Ramones, it holds true for Stars, it holds true for many, 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 many Iggy Pop, many artists. They see a wall and they kick through it. And then 10 years later, other artists walk up to that same hole in the wall and they go, what a nice doorway. Yeah. But Cheap Trick was at that wall kicking a hole in it before anybody else thought it was a doorway.
Right. What about Cheap? Go ahead.
Nobody was talking.
No, Phil was going to say something. Cheap Trick covers. What are your favorite covers of Cheap Trick? I mean, one of my favorite is going back to Concrete Blonde, their version of Manticello. And it's funny, I actually emailed Jeanette about that. And she goes, because I sent her this video of them doing it live with Billy Corgan dressed as Rick, playing guitar. And I'm not going to read the first part, but the second part, she goes, it's a very hard song to sing live, as Robin will also tell you. Because I think I asked her if she ever did it live. The Concrete Blonde version of Manticello is fucking unbelievable. If you guys have never heard that, fucking check it out. What are your favorite covers of Cheap Trick?
I've got an odd one that I heard that actually, because man, Cheap Trick's almost a band. I mean, if you're going to cover it live, that's fine. But I don't know if you ever want to commit it to tape because it might not ever be as good as the original.
Yeah.
But one band that really caught me off guard that did a strikingly good job of Big Eyes was Anthrax.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh my God.
That's my pick too.
It was killer. Belladonna sings the shit out of it. They did a cover. They did a covers EP a few years ago.
But they didn't play it like a metal band. Did they play it?
They were able to. I mean, it's still Anthrax, but they were able to rein themselves in a ton.
Dude, have you ever heard them do? Have you ever heard them do Alf Waterstein?
No, I haven't. Oh no, I have heard that. It's been a long time ago. Yeah,
that's killer.
And I asked Tom actually about the cover of, or I know I played Tom the cover of Big Eyes, and he goes, "Who is this?" And I told him. He goes, that guy came down one of our sound checks on a tour a couple of years ago and was hanging out, and Robin wasn't there, and we were checking, and he got up and sang that with us and did a really great job.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love nerdy musicians so much.
Yeah, that was my pick too. Yeah, you could tell like they really played it. They learned it. They're playing the right part. They didn't change to sound like them. They learned Big Eyes.
Yeah.
And I saw, I was playing with Matt Kramer from Saigon Kick. We had a band together right after Life, Sex, and Death. And actually, I mean, if we're talking about great American frontmen, rock and roll singers, Matt Kramer.
Yeah. Those first two Saigon Kick records are killer.
That guy, I won't even go into the sidebar of like, I mean, me and Matt, well, first of all, we're super crazy fucking tight, but that dude is unbelievable. Just such a great singer. Like for me, maybe next to Xander, my favorite singer.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's, I mean, cause he's got the aggression.
Yeah.
But he's also got the melody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't say enough great things, but what was I just saying right before that?
Talk about Cheap Trick covers.
Yes. So we had a band together called Coma, and it was me, Jimmy from King of the Hill, Matt singing, and everybody else I kind of forget because I'm drunk right now. But we were playing in Florida in one of the side rooms, and Faith No More was headlining the other room, and they covered Surrender.
Really?
Yes, Mike Patton sang the fucking balls off it.
Really?
Absolutely.
I mean, that guy has an unreal voice.
Unreal voice, and I was kind of like, because at that point, Cheap Trick was like not cool anymore, and kind of, you know what I mean? They were so not cool that it was cool for Faith No More to cover them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was just like not the cool thing to do anymore. So obviously, and then I knew how cool Cheap Trick was because Faith No More was doing a cover of Cheap Trick.
Going into the chat room, Scotty from Canada, Take Off says Velvet Revolver did a great version of Surrender. Yes, they did. Their first record, there was like a Japanese release. That the second half of that record, there was an extra CD that came with it, and Surrender was on there, and I think there was an Aerosmith cover up that was on there. It was fucking amazing.
There's no way that Weiland was not into Cheap Trick because you have so many references with the harmonies and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I just texted all of you guys the Concrete Blonde version of Mandocello, which fucking
Thank you.
And also the Big Black version of He's a Whore. I mean,
yes,
like a huge thing for like, you know, where like, you know, punk kind of, you know, the punk generation kind of, or the later punk generation kind of comes around, re-embraces Cheap Trick, you know, and of course with like Albini and the rest of the guys dressed up like Cheap Trick on the 45 sleeve. I mean, that was definitely a moment.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't even know. I did a bunch of work with a guy named Ginger who's got a band in England called the Wild Hearts, right?
You're ready to drop the Wild Hearts cover. He's a Whore, aren't you?
Well, I hadn't thought about that until you just mentioned it, but yes, you're right about that. But he was the one that introduced me to Big Black's version of the Cheap Trick tune.
Ah.
Yes, and I'm like. And that's when I knew like Cheap Trick was kind of coming back around again when guys like Big Black who were, and like, how old's Albini going to be? Is he around my age now?
Yeah. He's maybe a year older than us.
When our generation kind of began to take over the industry, you know, and we're sort of the tastemakers and whatever. And we were saying, you guys don't fucking get Cheap Trick. This is like the diamond of all times that's just like in front of you playing at the corner bar. You know, like Sparks being another example.
Yeah.
You know about Sparks?
I do not.
You son of a fucking This is over. See you guys later. Bye. Dude, Sparks, man. Komodo my house. Do yourself a favor and prove that you know what you're talking about.
Do I ever?
You do, because that's the regard I hold you, and I love you so much. If I could give you a hand job right now, I would. But you know,
that would be hot.
Technology hasn't evolved so far.
Well, it's too bad you're not here because I got a bottle of Astroglide that would help with that.
Jesus. Do they sponsor your podcast?
Oh, they should. Dude, they should. I have 3 ways every night. It's myself, Pornhub, and a bottle of Astroglide.
And in case you're not watching the video, he showed us the bottle. He actually has it with him, so that's good.
Jesus. Should I be a little bit concerned right now? Can you do us both all of us a favor and make sure your hands are in sight?
No, I think the problem is I'm not even remotely surprised that Izzy just whipped a bottle of Astroglide.
That's true. We all kind of just accepted that.
I'm not even remotely shocked it was at arm's length.
It's a regular Tuesday.
Cry for help, really.
That's because I can't. That's because I can't afford a fucking fleshlight. So you know.
I was going to say girlfriend, but I guess yours is even more.
Dude, if I could afford
in the mouth of Audrey Hepburn back there, bro.
If I could afford a hooker, I wouldn't need a hooker.
That's a T-shirt waiting to happen.
No, totally right. Exactly.
That's like one of the best lines I ever came up with.
If I can slap a Life, Sex, and Death logo on that, I'm selling it. Hey, pandemic, dude. I lost 63 shows. I'm sure we all can, you know, suffer that.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I'm not like, I'm in Phoenix now. I'm not even close to Santa Monica Boulevard. So the idea of me like blowing dudes for money is totally out of the question right now.
You would be surprised. Not that I would know. I'm just saying, you would be surprised. Just put on a pair of fake tits and fucking roll, baby.
We are 5 years from now when we're all still buddies. We're totally going to need to live all this shit down.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, you were saying that you were blowing dudes wearing fake tits. Remember that?
Well, I think we'll go about another 15 minutes. What other Cheap Trick covers stand out to you guys?
To be honest with you, the Wild Hearts version of He's a Whore, it's not a fantastic version. It's just a really noisy, drugged out version. So
yeah, but that was from Endless Nameless B-side.
Oh yeah, they were pretty fucked up on that record.
there are so many things that I would like to tell you about my relationship with Ginger, but it's not probably a good idea.
I think we covered it in that last segment. Oh my God! Oh, hold on. I got a reply on that Riverfest Cheap Trick. It was 1989. And this is okay. So July 28th was Ringo Starr and his all-star band. July 29th was the Bee Gees. July 30th, Stevie Ray Vaughan. July 31st was Club MTV. August 1st, the Nylons. August 2nd, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. And on the side stage was Slave Raider. Yeah! Bob Dylan the next night on the 3rd. And Cheap Trick with Soul Asylum.
Ooh, that would have been a gig.
Yeah.
Right?
Soul Asylum. Holy fuck.
And then there was 2 more nights. The next night was George Thorogood with Lamont Cranston and Richard Marx with the Rockin' Hollywoods, who I remember.
Lamont
What is that?
They were a 50s style band that
Like
still play.
Lamont Cranston.
Lamont Cranston,
Soul Asylum the other day.
Lamont Cranston, the Upper Mississippi Shakedown.
I love the sound of it.
Dude, it's a great song. He was a Minnesota guy, but he had a hit with a song called the Upper Mississippi Shakedown.
Wow.
It's a great tune.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah, Southern rock style. Yeah, fucking great.
When would that have been?
1989.
No, I'm just ignorant then.
Damn.
So
But
Soul Asylum, that's when Soul Asylum was still almost a little punky.
Yeah.
No, they're kind of at their peak at that point.
Yeah, man, that's like Horse They Rode In On.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, Soul Asylum is another one that.
Really?
Oh, they kill. The guy's a great songwriter, man.
Oh, he is. He is.
Oh my God.
It's weird. It's like Soul Asylum is one of those bands that I think because of the success that they had, people forget to associate them with Minnesota.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh.
Because
Well, you know what? This is what I think. I think that they were great. They were great. Then they figured out a way. Okay, I need some place to live. And then what was the big one?
Dancers Union.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
great fucking song.
And I mean, for me though, 99% of the time, and what was April Fools?
Yeah, same
Those
album though. Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah.
Oh, that April Fools.
There was so much. I fell in love with a hooker. The amount of times that I was like, "Wow, I totally get where this guy's coming from."
Yeah.
We're all laughing, like we've all been. Where it's like, "Yeah, Dave, I totally get you right now." And then, but then the attempts. Okay, what was the one? Frustrated.
Oh, that was the next album. That was Misery, which is a great album.
Misery. I don't agree with you to say that that's a great album, but I do agree with you that that's an unbelievably great song. Now, if the rest of the album, at least from my ignorant perception, had reached that level, it would be Sgt. Pepper's. But I will say this, their contemporary, independently released albums are unbelievably great.
Yeah. Yeah.
The albums they're making now, there's been no like, whoa, we're not selling 1 million records anymore. We're only selling 10,000. They're fucking great, and that guy's a warrior. And fucking Cheap Trick and Dave Pirner need to go on tour together.
Pirner was just on Trunk like a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that I guess their next record is gonna be a metal record.
I totally, and you know what he's really into, just because I had a very brief sort of like me and him hanging time. He's really into avant-garde jazz rock. John McLaughlin is his jam.
Wow.
John McLaughlin is that's his jam for real.
Oh.
No, seriously.
A little inner-mounting flame action.
Mahavishnu,
yeah, exactly. And like we were hanging out a couple of nights just because of whatever, and all he would play, he's got this house in Minnesota that he calls the house that runaway train built. Able to afford it.
Of
He's
course.
got a record player with a killer fucking stereo, and all night it was jazz rock, to the point where I was like, I would love to do a jazz rock album with this guy. Of course, it never happened because, I'm a footnote. But on the other hand, that's his jam.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, right. It's weird, right? You wouldn't think, but it's jazz rock. Like the most, like as obscure as you can get, but still jazz rock.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? You'd be like, oh, I'm like Dylan replacing this guy.
Sorry, I was
Mahavishnu right now.
sorry, I was emailing somebody back. I was trying to bring into the conversation who I'm not going to say the name of right now because I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But,
Sidebar. I know this for a fact from the Jesse Camp album. Rick Nielsen was brought in to play guitar on some of the tunes that I'd written, and the bridge of Dream Police that we were talking about is off of some Mahavishnu song.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay.
I forget the tune, and that was my exact reaction. He was like, "Oh yeah, I was a big Mahavishnu fan," and I went, "Really?" Hand to God. And anyway, whatever. So I'm interested to find out where he stole that from. But by his admission, he says it was influenced by a John McLaughlin thing from Mahavishnu, and I don't know what it is because I'm kind of drunk and I'm.
It happens.
Hey, can I give you the other bizarre influence story? That it's funny you told me this. And I go, this reminds me of this other thing that has nothing to fucking do with Cheap Trick, but I'll make it quick. So, Reeves Gabrel tells me about auditioning for The Cure.
What?
Right? So Reeves used to live in Nashville, and he told me about when he auditioned for The Cure before he got the gig. And he'd already written with them. He knew the guys. He's going to do a couple shows. So he walks into rehearsals, and there's, what's his name?
Robert Smith.
Yeah, Robert Smith. He walks into this rehearsal room. Robert Smith standing in front of a wall of amps with his back to him. Amps turned up to stun, playing Montrose riffs at top volume.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm like, you're kidding me. And he goes, dude, Reeves, of course, Reeves didn't say dude because he's Reeves and he's smarter than that. But Reeves goes, I'm not kidding. He goes, I swear to God, Robert Smith is the biggest fucking Ronnie Montrose fan on the planet.
Really?
Get him talking about it on the bus. He won't shut up, and he can play every Montrose song known to man.
That you are
unbelievable.
Yeah, like he said, he walks in, he's just standing there playing "Rock the Nation" like in a billion decibels. I'm trying to picture this. Like,
wow,
baby. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm not talking like a passive fan. Like, I think he has like everything and knows it all, and we'll have in-depth conversations about like the tubes in Ronnie's amps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like hearing.
I know.
Andy Partridge from XTC is really into Van Halen.
I know. It makes no sense. I was like, does not compute. And he's like, I swear to God.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. Like,
cool.
If I could hug you right now, I'd be hugging the shit out of you.
We'll do a range check. we'll have to make sure we can actually hug next time we see each other. It
You
may
know,
still be an elbow bump.
I would love for all of our bands to be packaged together. And me and you, Phil, we played a bunch of gigs already. And I played gigs with you too, Tony. It'd be great if like all of our shit could be packaged up into one thing and we can hang. Were you there, Phil, when we were sitting outside of the hotel after the one gig and we were discussing which Aerosmith album?
No, I went. Jared was out there. That was it. That was in St. Charles, outside of St. Louis.
Yes.
You did double duty that day.
Dude, I did 4 gigs
in
the 24 hours.
Classic Kane, man. I love it.
Yep.
Brilliant.
It's possible,
Brilliant.
but except for the money, I'd never do it again.
Hold on. I just got an email back. I was trying to get Johnette from Concrete on with us, and
she's
unfortunately, no. She does suffers from like social anxiety, so I understand the not wanting to get on Skype thing. But she sent me it's like, call me. I'm like, God damn it, I can't bring a phone in on this. I don't know how to do it. But she says, you may mention that I have many stories about Tom, would deny all of them. But Johnette's fucking amazing. I love that gal. She's fucking cool as hell.
Without question. And humble as a motherfucker.
Oh my God. I was more nervous with her on the show than I was with Ace.
Really?
Oh wow.
Ace Von Johnson could be very intimidating.
Than I was with Ace Frehley. I was scared. I don't know why. I was just scared. It was weird because it took me 6 years to get that interview.
Dramatic as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's Ace. Let's be honest, man.
No.
Ace Frehley sold more Les Pauls than Jimmy Page.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, I'm not too cool to say it. I
true?
fucking love Led Zeppelin, but it's the fucking truth.
Yeah.
Ace Frehley was what we could. I mean, amazing guitar player. I don't want to take anything away from what he did or what he wrote or the melodies.
Right. I gotta grab a beer.
Ace Frehley wrote songs within songs, but what Ace Frehley did was a little more attainable for us to start with.
Right.
I mean,
he shot a rock out of it.
Well,
you
and not just Les Pauls, but just like I feel like so many people, so many kids who grew up in the 70s picked up guitars because of Ace. Not because of Jimmy Page, not because of Peter Frampton, not because of anybody else. It was Ace.
Yeah.
And it was somehow lowest common denominator where we could relate,
and the guitar caught on fire. So there you go.
These themes, it's shit that blew up. Yeah, exactly.
Can you believe that every single show, the same part, that guitar still catches on fucking fire? You think he'd have it fixed by now?
Yeah, you would think. And you know what? I saw the Psycho Circus blah 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 comeback thing in L.A. Right?
Yeah.
And his guitar, when the fire started, it didn't billow the fire.
Yeah, I saw it happen once.
Yeah, it happened.
But his response, and this was 96, so, I mean, I've been in the game for a while, but not as long as I've been now. But so the guitar didn't do the smoke thing, right? And he goes up to the microphone without missing a beat, and he goes, I guess this one's just too young to smoke.
I guess this one's just too young to smoke.
And I was like, that dude is totally present right now, because that's a funny as shit thing to say. Like how to dig yourself out of too young to smoke. You know what I mean? It was
a fucking great line.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to end this or do you want to keep going? Because I'm fucking loving this.
Well, I mean, I got that much wine left, so don't ask me.
All right. Well, I just grabbed a Modelo because, it is Cinco de Mayo. Going to the chat room, Pete Cook says, 1 year ago, Alex Kane killing it in Enuff and stars in Chesterfield, Missouri. Great time, open for Angel and Ace Frehley.
That was the gig, Chesterfield, Missouri.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, but Phil, me and you hung out when I was playing with Shark Island and I did my very first cruise. Me and you hung out before that when we had the lunch or dinner or whatever the fuck it was that day.
That's right. I think I was with Karabi on the cruise.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
And I think he just threw me a bone because me and Jeremy are tight.
You got to meet Alex, since you guys already knew each other. And we were going to be on there together, and he goes, "Well, Alex is going to be on with Shark Island, and I didn't know you yet." So, yeah. So then here we are.
Here we are. And we may as well face it right now. The five of us, including all of our friends that aren't here, we are stuck until the day we fucking depart.
Yep.
That wouldn't have any
Stuck
other
with each other.
way.
Fucking love it. Oh my God, Epstein, what about you, man? You've been awfully quiet over there.
He's just judging.
Because we won't shut
Yeah,
up.
judging like a good journalist.
I'm just digging the scene. Actually, I was just remembering pulling this back to Cheap Trick.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about.
In early, probably February 1988, I was still in college at that point, and our like college events group, whatever it was called, was the book, the shows at the school, had the opportunity to book Cheap Trick for $5,000. This is like 1988. This is this is like post Doctor, pre The Flame, and there were like several of us were like, yeah, do it. And they moved too slowly, and by the time they got back to him and we're like, yeah, we'll do it, The Flame was starting to hit, and they're like, we'll take $50,000 actually.
Oh God.
Oops.
So
No Cheap Trick, no Weezer. Give them the 50 fucking grand, god damn it. Fucking pay the price so that Weezer could walk in their footsteps and they could open for Poison.
That I could have seen Cheap that I could have seen Cheap Trick at my school with like 100 other people.
Oh my God.
For $5,000 out of the student activities budget was. And that's how far they'd fallen at that point.
Wow.
And you know what? But they kept fighting, and now they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would have been dynamite for that $5,000. They wouldn't have walked. Like we booked the Ramones for like not that much more around that time, and they were terrible. And
really,
they were walking through it. But Cheap Trick, I'm sure, would not have walked through it.
I don't think they know how, because I think it's a Midwestern thing. That if you phone it in, you're denying everything you've ever believed in.
Right.
Yeah, even in the mid '90s when I got into them, I don't remember the first time I actually saw them, but I saw them so many times because they played all the time. You could catch them twice a year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like 95, 98, around that time. When they were already doing indie records. The Red Ant record was already out, and they had a couple. But they just worked tirelessly. Like always, they were always playing. And they were always great. And every time I saw them, the set list was always completely different. They had the hits in it, the ones you got to have, but all the other tunes were always changed out.
Yep.
Like you'd see them within 2 months, and bands kind of stick to one thing most of the time, but you'd go see them and just like, wow, they didn't do High Roller last time. They did High Roller tonight. They had all these great songs that you wanted to hear. So if you go see them 3 or 4 times in a row, you're going to get everything you want to hear.
Man.
Yeah.
I got to say, bucket list gig for me was we did a show with them with Keifer, opened for them at a naval base down in the panhandle of Florida a couple of years ago. And 2 things happened that day. They were doing relatively the same set. The few shows we'd done with them over the course of a couple months. Weren't really calling any of the audibles, but that was the day that I saw the monster massive set list. Mm-hmm. And anyways, first thing that happened that day was we were playing the Cinderella song Coming Home, and I had to do a guitar switch for that song. So I walk over and I hand my guitar to Rob, my tech, and I'm like, here you go, man. And I go to reach for my other guitar, and he just walks away. I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't have another guitar for me? I'm like, stand there. What are you doing, dude? And out comes, rest in peace, Larry Malero, and hands me Rick's checkerboard hammer.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, like this. The look on Keifer's face when he saw me playing that guitar when the bridge hit.
Oh.
And I'm like losing my shit. I got a couple of photos of it in my phone. It was just like, epic.
Holy fuck.
Hair stand up on the back of my neck just talking about it now.
Wow, dude.
But
that's
later on that night, I go out front to watch their set. And they're on stage and they're doing the set. And I kind of know how it's going to go. And they're getting to that point where they're going to do the Big Star cover, you know, That 70s Show song.
Oh, yeah.
And I see Robin waving off. And he just starts calling audibles. And they bust into Top of the World.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, oh my God. So they just did Top of the World. And then it was like 2 or 3 deep cuts off the first few records. And then, you know, kind of ease back into things. But it was just like, it was so cool to see. And they did it and just didn't miss a beat, you know, sounded perfect.
It's like the Rolling Stones, man. You know, it's just like they're totally pro. They're totally dialed. They realize that they're service providers for the audience. And while they may have millions of dollars finally at last, they're not that much different than the Ramones, and they're not that much different from any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is the Midwestern thing too. It's like the kind of like that kind of being from that region of the country kind of normalizes you a little bit.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I know
these mythical places that I living in Nebraska and Alabama with New York and LA. It's like these, you know, kingdoms. You know?
Yeah.
Like
They did a 3-night run at First Avenue. I know Aerosmith was playing across the street for one of those nights at Target Center, where the first night they did the first record, the second night they did it in color, and then the third night they did the next record.
Music from Hangovers. At the Metro. That's from. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see any of them, but it's like every night they did the full fucking record. And I guess Aerosmith came over that night and joined them on stage.
Yeah.
And if Aerosmith thinks you're all right,
yeah,
you're probably all right.
Right?
We're all right.
Yeah.
Another Kiss connection. Rick is on Gene's solo record. Rick plays a solo on
See You in Your Dreams.
See You in Your Dreams. Yeah.
Yep. Totally. And he's also on one or two of the songs from the Hall & Oates album, Redline.
No shit.
That I did not know.
I did not know that.
That's a great record.
Because that was like sort of in the wake of like Budokan blew up, and Rick Nielsen has no fucking ego except for the fact that he changed rock and roll.
Right.
And so he was starting to get work as like a side guy. You know what I mean? Like he did on the Gene Simmons solo album.
And John Lennon.
Wow, I want to hear that version of Double Fantasy.
Me too.
Yeah, right? And not to be a dick, but Yoko, if you're watching Izzy's podcast,
let's hear that, please.
You know, $20, I'll send you $20. Just let me get the album. Let me get the album, Rick and Bunny, okay? $20. I know you need the money.
You know, it's funny because my first gig when I moved out here was with Universal Music, and like they handed me like for Christmas this huge fucking Home Depot bag just full of shit, and there was a bunch of cassettes in there, and one of them is the promo for Double Fantasy.
Oh wow!
Wow, dude, put that on eBay. That's like $200. That's like 1/5 your rent.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, he lives in LA. He lives in LA. That's like 1/15 of his rent.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
He gets $500 for it. But you know, luckily the economy is going to crash real soon, so your rent's going to be going down, bro.
God, I hope so. I just wanted the earthquake for that. I didn't want the fucking economy to crash. I just wanted a big fucking earthquake to drive everybody out of town.
Don't you worry, it's a coming.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that shit because we're talking about Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Actually, thank you. Good point, well made.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to drag it out of it.
I would just like to say that I have this much of the bottle left, and there is this much of the bottle that began with, and I would like to blame Izzy for it.
I'm glad you can. That's what I'm here for.
I'm the one consuming it, so even though I can't blame you, I will.
Beauty. Bruce from Canada says Cheap Trick did a great episode of Live from Daryl's house.
Oh yeah, they did.
Back to the Hall and Oates connection.
Right?
Yeah, actually, great point. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I don't. Go ahead.
A buddy of mine has a great idea, and I think you guys could get involved. I want to start a Hall and Oates tribute band.
Oh.
Called Nothing But Oates. So, but we all get the little wigs and the mustaches, and then we'll put shoes on our knees like Dorsch. We do nothing but Oates songs.
Oh,
Can we
that's
do that?
gold.
Nobody sings the Daryl Hall part. We just
What's that?
Sing, we all sing this.
There's a great ELO tribute band out of Minneapolis called EL No. And everybody in the band sings like songs, and what they do is they pass the afro wig to the person who's singing the song. It's fucking gold, and they're amazing. They are amazing.
Oh shit!
They did this great thing. They called it a view and brew. So we went to the Fine Line, Minneapolis, and we get there, and the screen is down in front of the stage. They showed Xanadu, and then after Xanadu was done, the fucking screen came up, and they came on and did it was like their first show. It was fucking awesome. It was gold.
I always wanted to start a heart tribute band called Artificial Heart.
Nice.
I mean, it's what it is. It's Artificial Heart.
And I think you should get dudes to sing the parts.
Get 2 dudes and 4 girls.
But in drag. The dudes are in drag.
Right.
Yeah.
Back to the chat room. Steve Connolly says, I hear when finding a singer for Velvet Revolver, Slash and the Gang made them sing Cheap Trick songs.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Really? I did not know that either.
Dude, I was there. Dude, I fucking love Cheap Trick. Dude, it was fucking awesome jamming Cheap Trick with fucking Slash, and fucking Duff McKagan. It was fucking awesome singing Cheap Trick.
Well, I think there's probably like a whole lot of people within the parameters of our age group that would say, if you ain't Xander, you ain't shit. And I would not at all be surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 guys. There's Steven Tyler and there's Robin Xander.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, Alice Cooper, yeah, but he's a separate entity.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
And Alice is unbelievable. And every accolade he deserves, but he's not the singer that Tyler or Xander are.
Right. He's more of a showman, but still a great singer.
He knows what the fuck is up. He's Alice Cooper. He's the best of the best. So yes, okay, you and Mick Jagger, but Xander and Tyler are both better singers than Mick Jagger.
Well,
no
and I would
how
say
good Jagger is.
That Xander is definitely several rungs above Tyler on the singing ladder, especially.
Would you really?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like
I would too.
Pure instrument. I mean, that guy is. It's unbelievable, especially that at his age he can still hit those notes with that power. And And
we know that I'm like Cheap Trick guy through and through, but I kind of put them neck to neck. But you would actually say Xander surpasses Tyler.
Oh, absolutely.
Man,
you know what? And I tell you what, I agree with that too, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
Because
not the Harrison show I saw in November.
The what?
Not the Harrison show I saw in November.
Meaning Tyler was unbelievable.
No, fuck, he's perfect.
Yeah, but look, there's also somebody. Look, there's also somebody singing along with Tyler.
Well, no, they got somebody on
singing harmonies.
They got Buck Johnson on stage singing background vocals But Tyler's singing.
Tyler's parts. He's singing.
I'm not. Look, I was never saying Tyler wasn't singing.
No.
I'm just saying he's got a little help. Not a lot of help, a little bit. Xander's fucking.
He's got a guy singing harmonies. I mean, shit. At least they're not out there using canned harmonies.
Right.
They got a keyboard player that sings.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I mean that. But I gotta say, I do give it to Izzy's point where Cheap Trick can't afford to drag a dude along to mask whatever's not happening in Xander's face, whereas Aerosmith can
put a mic.
guy.
You can put a mic in front of Xander's face. You can put that mic that Izzy is talking into in front of Xander's face right now, and he will knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When he came, the thing he played with us was this patio at an Irish pub in Nashville. PA. It wasn't a venue. It wasn't even a venue. Tony went to a bunch of shows there. He knows it wasn't a venue. The PA was terrible. Robin gets up there. First note out of his mouth, that comes through the wedges, and it's that voice.
It's that voice.
I was like, how does your face make that sound? Like, I don't understand how you do that. It was just there. It was just, damn it.
There's a whole resonance to his voice. There's a tone to it.
Yeah.
Projection. I mean, it's
attitude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All there. It's just all.
And he's never given up the ghost. He's never stopped. Like I have to say, I prefer Bang Zoom Crash over I forget the name of the latest album.
We're all right. I think it's a good movie.
The what?
We're all right.
And he's doing Paul Rogers shit on the new album, and he never stopped showing us new shit that we didn't know he was capable of over the course of, as we determined, 40 years.
That's fair.
Right.
Yep.
Where he's kind of like, here's something that you haven't heard me do before. And that was my takeaway from the latest album was, holy fucking shit, this guy is, there's no end to what he can do.
Yeah. He's still that great.
Right.
Yes, he's still that great.
Let's go down this road. I mean, obviously a lot is made about fucking Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer and Kiss. What about Bunny getting replaced? Your thoughts on Bunny as a drummer and Rick's kid playing drums now for Cheap Trick?
I've seen Dax more than Bunny, I guess, at this point with the shows. And what has been cool was because that's when the big set list came. Was now they play.
Right.
He was like, yeah, whatever, we'll do whatever. It's like it's big. You're going to hear all these different tunes that before you might have heard a smaller group. But yeah, man, I've seen Dax more now than with Bunny, and it's great. Always a great show.
I'm probably half and half on how many I've seen. I'm sure I've seen Cheap Trick 10 times, at least 5 of them were with Bun. I know I've seen probably 5 shows of Dax.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Dax is fantastic, and I get the impression, from being around that camp that replacing Bun with Dax was like kind of a mutual agreement. Like I think Bun was over it. He was having a lot of back problems.
He was out. Yeah.
He was having a lot of back problems. He didn't want to be there anymore, and he was miserable, and therefore he's probably making everybody else miserable. And
right.
I think shit. I mean, I don't know the inner workings of that band, but I kind of get the impression remember there's that crazy lawsuit thing a few years back. I think Bun still gets paid.
Yeah. No, he still get. And Dan, I don't mean to cut you off. Am I cutting you off?
No.
Okay. Bunny still gets 25%.
Yeah.
But the relationship had become so toxic that they would rather give away 25% of what they earn to get Bunny out of the equation, which breaks my heart as the guy who's got Rick Nielsen tattooed on his fucking body for life. But they would rather get rid of Bunny and give him a quarter of the earnings that they make from every show they play.
Yeah.
Rather than continue on with him. And I know Jesus, brain work. Julian Raymond, I know him.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
and he was telling me stories about what it was like working with Bunny and Cheap Trick, and it sucked.
Yeah.
From what he was describing, it was garbage.
Yeah.
So that I view Xander Peterson and Nielsen as fundamental to the perpetuation of American rock and roll. And Bunny is part of that legacy, but I would rather see the legacy continue with Dax, who is a great drummer.
Killer drummer.
Killer fucking drummer. And I've played with the guy numerous times doing Cheap Trick songs. And one of my favorite things about playing with Dax was him saying to me, all right, live version of Come On, Come On, keep up. I'm like, you're talking to the wrong guy, motherfucker. No problem. Don't you fuck up, because I've been in the Cheap Trick longer than you've been alive.
Man, that's
Epstein, what were you gonna say?
No, I mean, you know, we've all dealt with band dynamics.
Yeah.
I absolutely don't begrudge them for wanting to be free of Bun, for Bun wanting to, for that separation to happen. But it's just, it's like you were talking about with when Comedic came into the band, when Peterson left the first time, it just wasn't the same. With Dax, it's just not the same for me. It's just not the same without looking up at the drum riser, and there's this crusty dude with glasses, polyester shirt and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It's just not the same. And God bless them. They, I hope they go on forever. I hope they tour forever. I hope they make as much money as they can. But it's just, I probably won't pay to see him again.
Although I will say props at least he's not up there wearing suspenders and glasses and smoking cigarettes.
Right. He's not being their Tommy Thayer.
I never said that.
With sticks.
I said that. I said that.
And you know what? I gotta say, I'm glad that the songs, and this is to Dan's point, I'm glad that the songs and the band and the legacy can continue, because I don't think it would have continued with Bunny in the picture. But that is what I grew up with. That is what I revere. Is Dax the most appropriate functional replacement? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the same? No. But if there was anybody who was going to inherit the throne, it should be Dax Nielsen.
Yeah, they kept it in the family.
It's true, but we were talking earlier about guys who have that swing. I mean, if they'd asked Brad Elvis to replace Bunny, I'd be all in. But I just feel like like Dax, it's like like Van Halen's kid coming in on bass. It's just I get it.
Dax, I'm sorry, man. Dax is better in that band than Wolfie was in Van Halen.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the fly that away, man, but Wolfie just looked like he wanted to get back out to the bus and smoke weed. He did not even look like he wanted to be on stage.
Right. Well, plus, at least Michael Anthony was still there anyways.
Yeah.
With the floating vocals.
I mean, Wolfie was a millionaire before he was even born.
True.
Right.
So it's very comfortable for him to be part of it. And the vocals on the Come Back Together album were copy-pasted, and that's not what Van Halen is meant to do.
Right. But I love that fucking record, by the way. Phil, on the next Drunken Summer, we're going to talk about that, too, with Van Halen.
The reunion album?
Yeah.
Different
Kind of Truth. So I think it's a great fucking record.
I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, Van Halen doesn't suck. Of course, it's going to be a great album because Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth are in the band.
I mean, how can you argue that fact?
Before Bunny was out, he had to miss some shows, and Tony, our buddy Keith Brogdon, filled in for a couple shows with Cheap Trick. Did you know that?
No shit. I didn't know
Keith played with him.
Oh,
I got to mention
Who's
that.
this guy?
Buddy Keith Brogdon, the great drummer in town. He's a great graphic designer too, a Nashville guy. I forget what years, but it wasn't when he was out of the. I don't think Bunny was out. The Bunny was out and they hadn't got Dax yet or something. But I was only a couple shows, handful of shows, and our buddy Keith played with Cheap Trick.
Nice.
No shit, dude. I
didn't know that.
know that. Thank you.
See if he's still awake. Let me get some information.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, I tell you what. Look, at least Cheap Trick did it right when they did go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They brought Bunny back.
Bun back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way, because it's for the fans.
Yes.
You know, no other fans mentioned.
We are merely service providers. We are service providers, and the people that come down to the shows are our boss. They are our managers. They are our publicists. They are our booking agents. Mm-hmm. And we owe them everything. And Cheap Trick is a incredibly great band that has influenced so much music.
Right.
And whatever we can do to make people know that we are grateful that they pay attention to what the fuck we're doing, no matter what band we're in, we are grateful for. Because without fans, we would be a bunch of idiots dressed like clowns.
Yeah.
In Kiss's case, that's really true.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We owe the reality of the situation is the people that allow us to live the lives that we are living, whether they work at law firms or doctors' firms or Kinkos or wherever the fuck, we owe them everything.
Absolutely.
Without them,
Absolutely.
we are clowns dressed as idiots. So, the fact, right?
Yeah.
Completely true.
And we're all replacement guys. I'm a replacement guy.
Yeah.
I'm a replacement guy. You know what I mean? In every band I've been, except for the ones like Antriproduct and Life, Sex, and Death, and whatever the fuck. I'm a replacement guy, and the people that don't know what we know about music, we owe them everything because we are where we are because they love the music that we've become associated with.
Yeah.
Right? And that is where we are able to buy our new fucking plugins and our interfaces and whatever. And
Izzy, the new Van Halen guitar.
You mean tube amps, right, Alex? You mean
I mean all of it. And I mean, yeah, sure. I would like to thank Pariah Pickups and Whirlwind guitar chords and Black Star Amplifier.
I'm going to edit that out just because of my beater amplification.
You should not, because anybody that believes in what I do will. It's because of these people that I'm talking.
Fucking with you.
And
I wouldn't
you
do
can
that
run
to you,
ads, so can we.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, that's why I'd like to thank Bogner amplifiers and Gibson guitars, and, and Dunlop pedals, and and absolutely deep area strings.
Yeah, absolutely. I need a string deal, by the way, because
Phil, it's your turn. Who are you?
The good folks at Vintage Guitars and Kemper Amplification, and Eddie Carlino over at Carlino Straps, and Pick Guy Guitar Picks and Elixir Strings. You know what? Good folks. Great folks. Love them to death.
Same thing. I would say the same thing for Intune Guitar and Albane Leather. And I'm a vegan, yet I wear his straps.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like a NASCAR race on here right now. Man, I'd like to thank M&M's and my Toyota Camry was fast today. I could have done it without Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
Speaking of Gibson guitars,
and I wouldn't be able to do any of this without Apex strings.
This is gold. Speaking of Gibson guitars, there, Mr. Higbee, don't forget about your good friends over there. That because Izzy has an Ace Frehley tribute band and needs an Ace Frehley Les Paul. I'm just saying,
Well, don't you have like a Les Paul with a big Ace Frehley picture thing on it?
Right, but I don't have the
You got
59.
an Ace Frehley Les Paul.
I don't have the 51.
You know what? And I'm in his fucking Ace Frehley tribute band, and I'm waiting for the first show to fucking come through.
Yeah,
hey,
it would
you know
be
what?
nice.
Actually, I did one night, and Phil, were you there when me and Jared did that show?
The Spades of
Ace. Me and Jeremy did one night. We did a tribute band. Me and Jeremy Asbrock with an old drummer of mine, Billy Baker. My brother Cody was playing bass. We called the band Spades of Ace instead of Ace of Spades, and we all wore Ace Frehley makeup,
nice
3-piece suits, and we did the entire '78 solo record front to back,
dude.
And then we did all the songs off of Dynasty. We did Shock Me. We did Strange Ways and had our drummer sing it since it's technically an Ace song.
Yeah.
We did a couple songs off of Unmasked. We did Rock Soldiers. It was awesome. It was a blast. We only ever did it once because I hated fucking putting that makeup on.
I tell you, look, I tell you what, and a shout out to your brother Cody, your partner in Higbee and Higbee Law Firm.
Yes.
Are you really a lawyer?
No.
I have so many questions I need to ask you if you are.
So on the mega cruise, my Les Paul took a nosedive off of a stand.
What?
Yeah. What? Yep. And shocking enough, it was the smile around the fucking neck.
Yep.
Yep. And it was sent, thanks to Mr. Larry Morand, it was sent over to Mr. Cody, and it plays better than fucking ever now.
There you go.
Good for you.
God bless the fucking Gibson Custom Shop. That's all I got.
Speaking of my brother, and speaking of Ace Frehley, since we're there, and yeah, Cody's my brother's. He's a great guy. He's kind of a badass. He calls me one day, and he's like laughing harder than I've ever heard him laugh, to the point where I can see the tears streaming down his face over the phone. And I'm like, "What is going on?" He goes, "You're not going to believe this shit." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "I got Ace Frehley's Budokan Les Paul on my bench right now." Like the 3 pickup cherry burst, the
original one.
Yeah, because that was when they were reverse engineering it to replicas of them a few years back.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm like, yeah. And he goes, man, I can't make this shit up. He goes, I'm pulling it apart. He goes, never mind the repaired headstock, the cigarette burns on the top of the headstock, all this shit. He said, I started pulling the pickups out. It's got original hand-wound Fred DiMarzio pickups in it from the 70s. He goes, not only are the middle of the neck pickups not even wired, the tape is still around the leads. They were never wired. He goes, but what's worse than that is this guitar started life as a 2 pickup guitar, and it's very clear that Ace took like a straight blade screwdriver and a hammer and chiseled a crater into the middle of this fucking guitar so he could screw the center pickup into it. He goes, there's not even a channel where I can run a wire. There's just this chiseled fucking crater in the middle of this guitar.
Wow. So he's just there for looks.
Yeah. That's all it was there for.
Hilarious.
Yes.
I know Ace always says, I never use the other ones, I don't know why they're there. But
yeah, he said all that was wired was the one bridge pickup to a volume knob and the toggle switch, and that was it.
No way. For real.
Yeah.
Is that how the
think of like when the fuck did Ace use his back pickup? I can't.
Never.
Oh, you mean right? He never used the back
pickup. Yeah, no, he only ever used the bridge pickup. That was it.
It was just to look like 3 pickups to look impressive, right?
Yeah, exactly. He just wanted to look.
So on the Budokans that came out that Gibson produced, did those other 2 pickups work? I don't know. I've never played one.
You know what? Actually, I believe they were wired. They had the channels run so you could wire them if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
They were actually shipped with just the bridge pickup working on the actual replicas.
Okay, because I heard him on Trunk like a week ago, and he said that they're going to do the Black Beauty one now.
Well,
That's
yeah,
the next
yeah.
one that's up.
Yeah, they've been talking about it for a while. I told Cody actually, like, you guys should do that guitar. And then I asked your guys' manager about it. He said there was like 3 of those originally.
Yeah, he brought one. It's around the last. I think it's around the time we did the '78 solo record in Jersey.
Yeah.
He brought that guitar with him, and we were at the hotel. We got there before. We were at the bar, and here comes Ace. And I was like, "Oh, hey, man." So he's carrying like one of those really cheap, thin gig bags.
Oh no!
he takes it. He's like, "Oh my God! I bought you guys check." Zips it, pulls out that guitar out of paper thin, like no padding in it. We're like, "You brought in that?" We were like, "Oh, yeah, Gibson's gonna make my new signature model out of this one." So I recorded the record with this. I figured I'd play it. So he had it in this bullshit gig bag. It was the one. It was the free pickup Black Beauty. It was like, holy shit, man. We all held it. And
I just spent $10,000 on this Rolex at a pawn shop, but they didn't have any fucking cases for a Les Paul. So I'm good.
we were dying. We were dying. It was one of those super, $7.99 gig bags.
Oh my God. Here's something from the chat room. Bruce from Canada says, Higbee always has the coolest sayings on his picks. Have a few from the 2 Calgary gigs you did. Thanks, dude.
You know what? Actually, speaking of the picks, I had some guitar picks a couple of years ago that said WWRZD.
What would Robin Zander do?
What would Robin Zander do?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my God. I love how it brings it back to fucking Cheap Trick.
I heard from Keith.
Okay.
So Keith did a couple shows in 2007. Bunny was still a touring member, but he had back surgery or something. And so he filled in, and he also sent me Keith's set list with drum notes.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Hello There, Big Eyes, Candy, Welcome to the World, Welcome to My World. If you want, I'm trying to think.
If you want my love, you got it.
Yep.
Oh, I love that song.
Come on. I can't read his handwriting sometimes. Yeah, so he's got the set list. I Know What I Want, Know How to Get It was on there. Voices. So yeah, he's got that. And he's got some drums.
Fucking Voices.
Side of it. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Cool. Fucking Voices rules.
Yeah, I love that one.
Oh, you got to send me that. Cause like when I put this together, we'll plaster that up on the video.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, he did like 2 or 3 shows with him back then.
Cool.
Amazing.
That's fucking awesome. Kane, what do you got coming up? I mean, obviously we're all kind of stuck here. You got anything you need to pimp other than the Life, Sex, and Death shirts and cassettes that you don't have anymore?
Well, no, I've got plenty of everything regarding Life, Sex, and Death as the, principal songwriter. Antriproduct, Shark Island. I wrote and produced the new album. Along with Richard Black. Without Richard Black, you have no Guns N' Roses, which is a factual thing. And I would also like to say Richard and I are, he was the guy who informed Guns N' Roses. And I am extremely left-wing, and he is equally as right-wing, and I would consider him one of my best friends. And the fact that we don't agree on everything would make me think that this is one of the greatest countries in the world to be alive.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And the fact that we don't agree on everything but still come to the same conclusion at the end makes me very proud to be an American. And also the new album Bloodline is probably, while I have a fair amount of investment in the album Bloodline from Shark Island. I would probably say it's one of the best rock and roll albums within at least a decade. And if you were at all disappointed by Chinese Democracy, I would suggest that you pick up Bloodline because that is the album that you wanted to hear.
Awesome.
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I'm interested.
Shouse, what do you
There's
got?
some killer fucking solos on that motherfucker, like a motherfucking bitch. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Fucking love it.
Nothing to do with Cheap Trick beyond the fact that they inspired me. But go on.
And you could find him at your Twitter's Alex fucking Kane, right?
That I I know my Instagram is that.
Okay.
I can't say my Twitter is that. Yeah.
All right. Shouse, what do you got?
Same old stuff. I believe that the Rock and Roll Residency's original EP is finally going to see the light of day. So details to come on that. So yeah, it's going to be out.
Awesome.
Cool. And we'll see you next week on the
We're
80s Kiss Summit.
We're going to make it.
And we'll see you
Jeremy. You and Jeremy.
And we'll see you next week on the 80s Kiss Summit. Actually, Carrie's working behind the scenes. We might have something really fucking cool for next week for the
And
80s Kiss Summit.
my non-makeup stuff is not as together.
All right. Well, if you want to bow out next week and then come back the week after for the next Van Halen one, it's all good. You know,
I'm gonna bow out. Somebody else in there besides me.
Wow.
I'll go 80s Kiss.
Oh, fucking Higbee's back next week. I love
I'm
it.
just saying, I'll do it.
But I would
love
like to interject.
I might not have the nicest things to say all the time, but I'll go 80s
That's
Kiss.
okay because that's what makes it a fun discussion.
Yeah.
You know?
And I would like to say, as an impartial, whatever the fuck, Phil is a motherfucking badass.
I'll second that emotion.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you. Likewise,
dude. It's we are perpetuating rock and roll for all generations.
We are.
And I would also go so far as to say, as we are essential to rock and roll, we are now carrying the torch.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Politics matter not whatsoever because
exactly.
whatever I think politically, someone who might disagree with me, I know we've been at an AC/DC concert together and we felt the same
it's
shit.
all about fucking rock and roll.
And it's all about rock and roll and saving the world with loud shit.
Yeah.
Back to fucking Tame Me Down.
Nice.
Fucking rock and roll, Bubba. Epstein, you have any books? You writing another fucking book? What's going on?
I'm writing a bunch of books right now. I got two books on guitar pedals that'll be out probably around Christmas.
Really?
Yes. Stompbox and Stompbox Vintage and Rarities.
Nice.
And I'm working on a book with former Yankees 1970s star Ron Blomberg about his friendship with the late great Thurman Munson. And
nice.
That's going to be out next spring.
Nice.
Awesome.
And people want to go back that might not be familiar. The other books are Big Hair and Plastic Grass, which is about 70s
70s baseball.
obviously 70s baseball, and the other one is
Stars and Strikes, which is all about 1976 and the 76 baseball season.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, I fucking love him so much. I wish I was in Chicago right now.
Well, we got that Chicago connection, baby.
Yeah,
you guys are hooked up now. Higbee.
Yep.
I mean, obviously that tour you guys are supposed to be on is delayed.
Yeah. We postponed. Let's see how long my battery lasts. It's about to die.
Yeah, we're at the end of the show, so it's perfect.
That's fine. It looks like our summer run for now has been postponed to 2020 run. That was the package tour with Rats, Skid Row, and Slaughter. I had a run of shows at the Gamblers in May. Those obviously aren't going to happen. And then we had a European tour that we'll try to redo next year, but that's gone. So right now we're just seeing if fall holds together or not. We just don't know with Tom anyways. Been writing a new East Side Gamblers album and we were jamming.
Nice.
Really excited about some of the material we were coming up with. I got divorced a couple years ago.
Yes.
A couple of years ago. So that material's like started off real dark. I'm like, God damn, I got to get some shit out. But it's been turned really cool. I'm really excited about it. And been doing some more writing.
Guitar versus bitches, bro.
Yeah, right.
I'll take the fucking guitar. Fuck you, bitch.
Exactly.
Yep.
So anyway, so doing all that. And then actually speaking of Keith Brogdon, he's working on a new East Side Gamblers t-shirt design for us right now.
Nice.
So when we get those, I'll get those out to you guys. And he's putting together a little something for me. I like to do, just because I'm always trying to put something positive out into the world on social media. I'm always posting morning vinyl posts, whatever it is I'm listening to that day.
Yes.
He's working on a morning vinyl logo. And I think I'm going to do some morning vinyl t-shirts.
Nice.
Morning vinyl coffee. Morning vinyl coffee mugs. And morning vinyl, I'm going to maybe do some slip mats for turntables. So
nice.
Yeah,
Fuck
so
yeah,
Brogdon's
dude, I
working all
fucking
that.
love it.
So I'm waiting on it. So Keith, if you're watching this, hey man, where's my logos? Let's do this.
I love it. Well, Higbee,
So,
after if I get approved for this unemployment, we'll be talking about that Bandit T-shirt and the vinyl because I haven't bought the fucking vinyl yet. I need
dude,
that.
I've been waiting on my fucking unemployment for 5 weeks. So I feel you.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
State of Tennessee.
Yeah. Right. So we got Alex fucking Kane. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter. The Philip Shouse. That's 2 E's. The
2 E's and 1 L.
And Epstein is big hair plas grass. Right?
On Twitter.
1 S on each.
Right. And on Instagram is Doc Fidrich.
Yes, of course. And actually now I want a fucking Fidrich jersey.
Oh,
That's badass.
He
Fucking
can't
love
have
that. I love that. Tony, where can people find you?
It should just be Tony Higbee on Instagram, at Tony Higbee on Twitter.
That's boring.
Tony Higbee on yeah. Well, there's not too many Tony Higbees in the world.
Absolutely.
So most people fuck up the spelling, so there you go.
Right. Unless they're using Higbee and Higbee lawyers, then they're good.
Yes, because evidently we're a law firm that never happened that should have. Cody and I clearly went the wrong direction. We should have been lawyers, but instead we decided to be starving musicians. So
I love it.
I'm much happier though, I'm pretty sure.
I fucking love it. Thank you guys so much. This is a blast. Hold on. We'll say goodbye off the air. I'm going to mute you guys now. Fuck it. I'm not. So you can talk over me if you feel like it.
Yeah, fuck you.
This has been a fucking blast. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to do a shot with everybody right now. I'm an alcoholic when I'm drinking $6.99 tequila and I'm a Jack Daniels guy.
Bandolero.
Yummy.
Love you guys.
Right, dude.
Good to see you, man.
Hit up all the social media at Real Izzy
We'll
Presley,
see
all
each
the
other
rest of
very
Twitter,
soon,
Instagram,
yeah.
Facebook.
I hope so.
And of course,
Every
the
single
show page
podcast.
is another effing podcast. If you guys want to donate to the show, izzypresley@yahoo.com is PayPal. Please do, because I have rent due and I'm poor. And what else do we got? Venmo, Real Izzy Presley, Cash App, $ Izzy Presley, and that's pretty much it. Just guys, I appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another Drunken Summit, 80s Kiss style, and if everything works out, it may be the biggest Drunken Summit star-studded event that we've ever had.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, especially after
podcast.
Especially
My name
after
is Izzy
tonight.
Presley.
Good luck, Tom
What I lack
Hanks.
in talent, I make up for in cock.
Nice.
Bullshit.
All right.